15-minute delay. Northwest side crash, northbound 465 at I-865 center lane blocked, and traffic stop and go back to 86. Inbound 69 crash in 96 on the right shoulder. Traffic sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage. For limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code RADIO and get an extra 5% off. I'm Matt Bear on the 5s at WIBC Traffic.
Make this your year. Looking for a new career in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, and AI? Attend classes live, online, or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Financial aid is available to those who qualify.
The forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Today's high around 53. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies overnight, a low of 36. Thursday, mostly cloudy. Some scattered showers and storms throughout the day, a high of 56. Friday, morning showers. We will turn sunny in the afternoon and much warmer. Friday's high, 75. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Sean Herrick on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 9:05. Time for Kendall and Casey.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew that little you-know-what wouldn't show up to Life Church last night.
You must be talking about the Secretary of State, Diego Morales, who was a no-show at the event last night at Life Church. All the other statewide office holders were there.
Okay. So, as of at least, I guess, this morning, there was some concern we were going to have to issue a missing persons report for the Indiana Secretary of State, Diego Morales, because over the past week, there appeared to have only been like one known sighting of him.
Yeah.
He had not been in the State House, to many people's knowledge, and everybody was like, where is the Secretary of State, Diego Morales? Which is crazy that we are in the middle of a budget session where his office, which controls everything from businesses to elections, is having its funding decided by the Indiana General Assembly. He no-shows that meeting. They ask his legislative director and his attorney where he is, and you just get and they try to claim he's
on an economic development trip.
Casey, there's nothing. Zero. There is zero statutorily that the Secretary of State would do that would say your job is to go do economic development. That is the governor's job. The governor and the Indiana Economic, it's in the name, Casey, Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
Right.
The Secretary of State has zero, zip, zilch, nothing, Nathan, nada to do with economic development. So the Secretary of State has essentially gone missing, right? You don't know where he's at. He is listed for a week on this big event put on by the Hamilton County Republican Party going on at Life Church. Hey, all these statewides are going to be here. It's going to be Micah and Elise Nishala, the state comptroller, and Daniel Elliott, the state treasurer. And Diego's on the flyer.
Right.
At no point was there anyone from Diego's office or Diego's campaign apparatus or anybody going, he's not going to be able to make it. He's not going to be able to be there. He's blah, blah, blah. He's on the flyer until, we said, well, if he's going to be there, then maybe I should show up and ask some questions about, why did you blow off your budget hearing? Why did you give your brother-in-law a six-figure job? Why did you give your brother-in-law a $15,000 bonus? Why did you give no-bid contracts to companies? Why did those same companies then give you huge donations to your campaign? How do you vote in a county different from where you took a homestead credit? What did you do for a job before you became the Secretary of State? And I told you, did I or did I not tell you? I said, I guarantee now, the threat of me being there, he will not show up at that event last night.
He was not there. We don't even know if he's in the country, Rob. And just to make sure that everybody knows you're not fabricating this, let's review what happened during the budget meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So where's the Secretary of State?
He's traveling today on an economic development project. I can't really tell you specifically at this minute where he's at.
Senator, I will say that he did reach out to us.
His representation can't say where he's at because one, they don't want to say, or two, they don't know.
Well, look, and we have laid this out. I mean, this is where we're at in our world and our politicians and how little they actually respect you. Is that I said last night, now we have an update on this, but I said last night,
We'll get to that.
I'm strongly considering at the end of our show walking down the street and filing a missing persons report on the Indiana Secretary of State. Because nobody seems to know. There were rumors that there had been a car accident of a very expensive vehicle. Don't know if that's true or not. Nobody knew where this guy was or what he's doing, but it is the talk. It is the talk of the state that the Secretary of State, one, blows off his budget hearing. Now, we all know why he did that, and I don't think we have the audio of this, but he blew off the budget hearing because the last time when he had the equivalent hearing in the House of Representatives, State Representative Ed Delaney completely depantsed him over these exact issues that I just laid out that I would want questions for. He's not going to show up anywhere to answer any of these questions because there are no good answers for these questions. And so Diego I'm just going to disappear for a while. I'm out here. And I said, well, maybe we should file a missing persons report so that law enforcement can get into this and try to find out where he is because his staff can't or won't say where he is. Last night, the guy, I think it was the legislative director who filled in for him at this event, claimed he's still on this economic development. I was told by multiple people, including Micah, that he was still on this economic development trip. What is the Secretary of State doing for economic development? There's nothing your job is to enforce the will of the General Assembly from elections or businesses or all the other agencies that you oversee. You have no economic development requirement whatsoever. You are an administrator of the will of the Indiana General Assembly.
So he's been sending his team out to events on his behalf. We heard his representation at the budget hearing. He has also had his team having a great morning at the Indiana Prayer Breakfast. And here's the irony of all of this, Rob. He's got his name on maps for the state of Indiana. You know, the taxpayer-funded items that help you find your way when you're lost. Maybe he needs to open up one of his own maps and return to the state of Indiana, because it's not like there wasn't anything big that happened yesterday that President Trump announced in regards to elections.
Okay, so he's now basically, as of yesterday, had pulled a Joe Hogsett. Nobody knows where he's at, like Hogsett did during the riots. Nobody knows where he's at or what he's doing. And then all of a sudden, somebody sent this to me this morning that it appears he's in India.
This was posted by the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce.
The who?
Indo-American Chamber of Commerce.
What is the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce? Oh, let's see. Let's go over to their at what is their Twitter handle? At IACC
INDIA.
At IACC India. I've never heard of these people. Indo-American Chamber of Commerce is a non-government industry-led organization and serves as a link between the business communities of India and the U.S. Why would the Secretary of State be at this? What possible thing in his job description would you say, especially during a budget session where you're funding your office for the next 2 years, what possible reason would there be to blow off your obligations as a statewide elected official to go to hang out with what they list as a non-government industry-led organization?
Yeah, glimpses from the insightful exclusive interactive session with Mr. Diego Morales, Secretary of State, Indiana, USA.
He's in India.
Correct.
He left.
Located. We found him. And remind me, Rob, what is the prime role of the Secretary of State?
They have several agencies that they oversee, but they're probably their two most high profile is they are the administrator for businesses and business law in the state of Indiana, and they are the chief elections officer for the state of Indiana.
Chief elections officers. Interesting, because just yesterday, Donald Trump came out with an executive order about our election laws, proof of citizenship, voter ID, one-day voting, paper ballots. you'd think that this would be a top priority for the Secretary of State to be on top of this and have all of this information and make sure the people of Indiana knew what was going on. But he's in India.
So they listed, I'm looking up this place because this is a long tweet. I mean, this guy is so shady. And here's
it's like hashtag economic growth.
But it's not even him that tweeted it, is it?
No.
Yeah, okay, so he's at this place. They tag him in this place at the Phoenix Centeris, which is, it looks like some sort of mega complex in India.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I mean, I'm like I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss for words right now, Casey. I'm trying to learn some more about it because this tweet just popped up. Again, it's not him. It's Telangana, India is where this place is at.
Mm-hmm.
What? And I'm looking at the building, right? I mean, it's this like it almost looks like a hotel, mega complex type of thing. It is a 21 million square foot building. That can't be right. No, yeah, because they're saying area. I'm looking at this online. I'm trying to get info on this online. Yeah, area per floor area 55,069. He's at a 21 million square foot building in India,
Mm-hmm.
according to this tweet. This is simply what. Okay, right now, everybody, Braun and the House and the Senate, Braun, Bray, Houston. You guys need to demand information from this guy. You need to come out today and say, we are not giving your office $1. And in fact, we're going to start stripping. I mean, they're doing it to Micah.
Mm-hmm.
Micah hasn't done anything wrong, and they're taking all of his responsibilities away. They need to come out today, Casey, and say, we are taking day by day until you get your ass back here. Every day you're not here, we are taking an agency away from you. We are stripping that authority from you, and we are defunding your entire operation.
One other thing that I would like to point out, if they're listening, at in.gov, which is the official website for the Indiana state government. If you go to the homepage and then you go down and it says our government officials, there's a picture of Diego Morales, and there are links to their social media accounts, Facebook and X.
Now, this is the official government website.
This is the official Indiana state government website.
Uh-huh.
When you go to Diego Morales and you click on his Twitter link or his Facebook link, guess what? You get his campaign sites.
That's not his official government account. It goes
Not
to his
correct. Not his official government accounts. His campaign sites where he is asking for money.
Can you
ethics violation much?
Please tell me you've already screenshotted that. So do that real quick because somebody's going to try to get in there and change that. So screenshot that because we don't want them to remove that. I mean, this guy, and we told you this 3 years ago. We've told you this 2 years ago. We told you this 1 year ago. We told you 6 months ago. We told you 6 days ago. This guy is a complete shady shyster. And I have no idea why, of all the people that the General Assembly has gone after over the years who they don't like, who is not one of their club, that they will not go after this guy. It's right in front of them. I have no idea why they tolerate this from this guy. He every day pees all over these people, and they Bray and Houston and Braun and all of these people, they just sit there and take it, and I have no idea. They should demand that this guy return to the United States, if indeed he's still in India. Maybe he's not. I don't know. And answer these questions, and until he does, we're just going to start taking things away from you.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
When you wake up,
you understand this is about money. 1,000%. They started this.
When you work,
we are gonna make some noise today.
Eliminate property taxes now.
Hanging out with us, it's fun.
Right.
When you drive home.
Is it time to try something new, you think? Because it hasn't worked, and maybe try something new.
Traffic when you need it.
Stopped on 465 again. And
updates all the time.
I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level, on the go.
Stay in the know wherever you go with 93 WIBC.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
It's dent season, the time of year Mother Nature decides to take out her aggression on your vehicle. Don't paint your car, go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal. PDR is paintless dent removal that saves your factory finish and is way less invasive than traditional body shop repairs. And it's faster too, sometimes same day. Google Kill a Dent Removal and check out the reviews and photos. Then schedule your repair. When Mother Nature throws a tantrum and messes up the look of your vehicle, don't paint your car, go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal.
Hey folks, Scott Wilson here from Wilson Farm Market. Even in winter, we're bringing you the best in farm fresh flavors. Stop in for our fresh salad bar, hot and crispy wing bar, and a cheese selection that is second to none. Got a sweet tooth? Our homemade pies, creamy fudge, and old-fashioned candy will hit the spot. Come see us on US 31 just north of Carmel. We're open every day 9 to 6. At Wilson Farm Market, we're all about fresh, local, and delicious. See you soon.
Are you ready to build your custom dream home? Joyner Homes is ready to make your dream come true. Over 18 years, Joyner Homes, based out of Greenfield, have built hundreds of homes in central Indiana, and the best place to start is joynerhomes.com. That's where you'll find pricing, photos of completed Joyner homes to inspire you, available home sites, and info on where you can visit their model homes, and a lot more. Be sure to check out Joyner Homes' 5-star Google reviews. Get started today at joynerhomes.com.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed mold, mildew, bowing walls, or water in your basement? I hope not, but if you have, your basement is losing the war against groundwater. That's where Indiana Foundation Service comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your basement and stabilize your walls. Schedule your free inspection at indianafoundation.com/row.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, a new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something?
Boat wins!
Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing?
Boat wins!
Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing?
Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat.
Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states and situations.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our home has had Rhino Shield for 10 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
So yesterday, Donald Trump doubled down on calling for more secure elections. What he's calling for, proof of citizenship, voter ID, one-day voting, and paper ballots.
And we should go to paper ballots. We should go to one-day voting. We should go to voter ID. And just one other thing, proof of a thing called citizenship in the United States. Wouldn't that be nice? How simple does that sound? Proof of citizenship, voter ID, one-day voting, and paper ballots. You know, paper ballots are very secure. They have watermark paper. It's very intricate stuff. It's very technologically advanced, even though it's paper. And you'd have no trouble. You wouldn't have dishonest elections, and you'd have them all done by 10 o'clock in the evening. You know, France went to that, and not that I want to copy anybody, but many others have also. And they had 38 million votes, and it was all done at 10 o'clock. They had a winner, they had a loser. That was it. Nobody was complaining. And they had it backed up with paper. And it's so easy to do. The other thing, you'd save about, this would cost you about 8% of what the machines cost. so the paper would be much less expensive. So if you
He also criticized mail-in voting. He said it's insecure, it's prone to fraud.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this logically, right?
Sure.
Because Donald Trump has never run an election. He's never been a part of a local election. He's never staffed an election. Raise your hand if you have. Oh, me, right? I'm raising my hand. Okay. So Indiana has electronic voting machines. There is zero allegation every year that I'm aware of that some like fraud is taking place in Indiana's elections. If someone can report me to that, then let me know. But Indiana is universally accepted as having very secure elections. Why? Because we have voter ID. Our voting machines are not hooked up to the internet. And we have, while they are expanded more than I think should be allowed, we have a reasonable early voting laws and restrictions based on how you can request a mail-in ballot. I guess we can say it again now. We don't have to say jelly bean counting anymore. The voter fraud or the alleged voter fraud that might have taken place in 2020, to me, was more likely related to the thing that he's saying he wants, which is just paper balloting, right? Ballots were sent to people. You have no idea in some of these states who got them, who filled them out, who returned them. That's in a lot of these swings. I mean, how many of these lawsuits have we seen? Like the people had to pay money to these voting machine companies because they said things that just simply weren't true. You've heard this. How would the voter fraud take place? And if it has here in Indiana, why hasn't anybody ever caught on to it or even really alleged that it's happening if a machine is not hooked up to the internet, right? The issue is voter ID, which he's right on. You need national voter ID law. There's zero reason you shouldn't be able to show a identification, right? There's zero reason for that. We do need restrictive early voting laws. It's ridiculous that these people can vote for a month ahead of time. That's ridiculous too. I agree. I support 24 hours, national holiday. You have to vote on election day. You got 24 hours to get it done, and your employer can't hold it against you. Seems reasonable, right? But this whole thing with the paper balloting, Indiana does not have that, and our elections are very secure. It is the voter ID, the mail-in balloting, those sort of things are what you need to focus on. He gets focused. He throws too much out in the ether, and it's too hard for people to comprehend it all. Get to the things that you look at and go, I have seen that stuff happening or reports of those things happening, like the mass mail-in voting and the voter ID. Those are things that should be easily obtainable and people can get their heads around.
Now, you have said that there should be one day to vote, though, a national voting day. It should be a national holiday. Get the day off, go vote, be done with it.
Yeah. I mean, like your employer can't hold it against you then. You can't use the excuse, I had to go to work. You have 24 hours from midnight to midnight. You can squeeze it in. I can waltz my backside over to the old Lincoln Elementary in Brownsburg. It takes me 2 minutes to walk over there. These voting locations now, like in Hendricks County, you can vote at any location in Hendricks County on election day, and your vote counts. If you work in Plainfield, you can vote there. You just, give them your ID. They pull up your ballot. You cast the vote. It goes into the thing. Voila. Right? That's ridiculous that we need a month to vote, and we need to be able to mail our ballots in, and that's stupid. That's a waste of resources.
Yeah, but I do think most Americans can, resonate with the idea that, hey, by midnight, we want to know who won, who lost. Like, we don't want this drawn out forever thing. But, of course, there's going to be all sorts of legal challenges to this. Constitution grants states authority to set their own election
The
rules.
two major things that will solve areas where there is voter fraud is, number one, is voter ID. You've got to present your ID when you vote. Everybody has the ability to get an ID. And by the way, it's super racist to imply black people can't get an ID, which is always what the Democrats do. Oh, the poor black people, they can't get an ID. Right. That seems very racist to me. And then limit the ability of people. Now, look, if you're an infirmed person, if you're an invalid, you can provide proof that you're going to be out of the country or the state on business, something, guardrails, which we have a lot of those here in the state of Indiana. Then no, you have to vote in person, right? The very few things, and if you can't meet those boxes, then you just got to show up and stand in line. But those are the two things. The paper ballots. This is not 1920, right? We have technology. It does make it easier. It does make it faster. They're not hooked up to the internet. that to me is not where the focus should be. It should be on the voter ID and the mail-in balloting.
Proof of citizenship as well.
Well, you're right. That's part of it with the ID, right?
With the ID.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Jim Merritt is going to join us next.
So remember we had Micah on yesterday, and Micah got in trouble from the higher-ups in the Senate because he had the audacity to provide transparency and film the Senate in action from a public place doing public business.
Yeah.
And so Merritt spent 30 years in the Senate. We're going to get to the bottom of what the Senate is even
What's
thinking,
the problem here?
why they think this is a good idea, and if something needs to be done about this.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Hey guys, it's Rob. Spring is here. Can you believe we're almost through March? I can't. And that means it's time to get your lawn in tip-top shape so you can enjoy it all summer long. That's why I called my friends at Save a Tree, the tree, shrub, and lawn experts. Here in the near future, Save a Tree is coming out to my house to make my yard look great after some tough winter weather, and they can do the same for you. Whether it's trimming and reshaping trees, treating yellow leaves and diseased shrubs, taking care of your lawn so it's weed-free and looking picture-perfect, Save a Tree can make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. See how beautiful your yard can be. Set up your own free evaluation at saveatree.com. That's SAVATREE.com. That's SAVATREE.com. Or dial pound 250 on your smartphone. Use the keyword Save a Tree. Save a Tree, the tree, shrub, and lawn experts. Tell them Rob sent you.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's not just one thing you'll need to be ready for. Mostly sunny and 39 degrees in the Circle City. Today's high 56. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Severe weather could hit Indiana this weekend, especially Sunday, says Cody Moore with the National Weather Service.
It looks at the moment all modes of severe weather are on the table. And then as we get closer to the event, we'll be able to get into more of the details on timing and which hazards are more of a likelihood than others.
Moore says rain and windy conditions will continue throughout the week. More texts have been released by the reporter, who was added to a group text with Trump administration leaders about airstrikes in Yemen. The Atlantic published what it said were additional messages on Wednesday from the Signal group that included Vice President J.D. Vance and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, among others. President Trump went after the outlet and its editor, Jeffrey Goldberg, for the first report that was released and said the text included no classified information. Goldberg and an Atlantic writer said those statements led to them releasing everything to the public so they can decide for themselves. If you win this, then this sound is probably going to be going off in your head. The Powerball jackpot, worth nearly $500 million, a winning ticket in tonight's drawing, would bring in a jackpot of around $484 million. That's about $228 million if you take the cash option. And your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. So far, the Dow is up 60 points at 42,964. The S&P 500 down less than a point at 5825, and the NASDAQ is down 35 points at 20,454. I'm Sean Herrick, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Looking for a great deal on a new Lincoln? Come to Tom Roush Lincoln. Select 2024 Lincoln Navigators, now $15,000 off, and get 0% for 72 months. How about an all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus, now $6,000 off with rates starting at 4.9% for 60 months. We look forward to seeing you at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
Lincoln Navigator MSRP 104,825. Lincoln Nautilus MSRP 57,785. Offers good through March 31st, 2025. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
From a fast break to recovery, Indiana hospitals are here for every Hoosier, regardless of their ability to pay. That's why we're teaming up with legislators on a winning playbook to lower costs and protect access to care across our communities. Because good policy doesn't leave anyone on the sidelines. Learn more at HoosierLifeline.com.
Paid for by the Indiana Hospital Association.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry. Terry, Terry. Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Casey, we've got to get to the bottom of this just crazy issue about how upset some people were that Micah Beckwith was transparent the other day.
Oh, you're talking about how they tried to record the Senate.
That's right.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
From the 4th floor public balcony, they filmed a public event, and he got in trouble for telling you or showing you, here's what your government's doing.
By the way, let's remind everybody, this isn't like a state law or anything. This is just kind of the rules to live by in the State House.
Right. So, again, if you missed yesterday, we had Mike on to talk about this. He got reprimanded because he had some of his staff from the public 4th floor balcony film the Senate in session, which is being streamed on the internet, by the way.
Correct.
But apparently there's some little-known rule that you're not allowed to film the Senate.
So they can do it, but you can't.
That's correct. So we got to get to the bottom of what took place here. And when it comes to knowing the Senate, nobody knows the Senate like Jim Merritt. 30 years in the Indiana Senate. Jim Merritt, hello.
Hello, Robert. Casey.
By the way, I should point out it is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. That's Casey.
That's us.
Yeah, that's
Hi.
right.
Good morning.
All right. So, Merritt, were you aware that this was the thing that you get in trouble if you go to the 4th floor is where the public is allowed to be, correct? Like you can walk in, you get through security, they let you go up and watch the Senate in action. This is not some super secretive area, correct?
Yes, it's been a rule for as long as I can remember, 35 years. And the origin of this was we didn't want tripods. We didn't want, in the early days, if you will, we didn't want people just filming from the balcony so that a political commercial could be made. And so in this time, right now, when you have TikTok, you have social media, you have everything going on, there's got to be a rule there. Now, I would anticipate, or I would guess that if Lieutenant Governor Beckwith would have asked for permission to do so, it would have been granted. But there is a rule, and it's to in the early days. I'm sure we didn't want to put a wet blanket on debate, and it wasn't streaming. And they didn't want television commercials coming out of the Indiana Senate. And every year, the rules of the Indiana Senate are gone over by the leadership, Republican and Democrat, and changed. And so I anticipate they will be looking at this rule in October.
You had mentioned they didn't want tripods, that sort of thing.
It's like a horse and buggy, right?
And this rule has been in effect for 35 years. I mean, we're now at a time when you can have a phone the size of a deck of cards in your pocket that can do the thing. So this, I think, gives you a glimpse at the glacial pace some things move within the Senate or the State House. So, I mean, isn't it time to change this rule, or can we just ignore it and move on?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think everybody needs to know the rules, number one. But two, I think this deserves all rules need to be reviewed every year in any organization, including in the Indiana House and Indiana Senate. And there was once a time in the Indiana Senate that, in the State House, you couldn't exchange dollars. Because they thought that that was a bribe, and so that you couldn't buy state flags downstairs. and we changed that. And so, it's just one of these items. I'd be really curious to see who actually announced or made the public aware that Lieutenant Governor Beckwith had broken a rule.
Yeah, because Nikki Kelly, Jim, I don't mean to cut you off, but Nikki Kelly made the initial tweet. You're saying somebody told her that was going on.
Yeah, and I wondered if it was Micah or the Senate, because a lot of times when we had...
Oh, it wasn't Micah.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, regardless, if it was the Senate, so be it. But if you broke a rule, you had a conversation with the leadership and then asked not to do it again. And so I don't know who announced that, but the bottom line was you have to go over every rule for the culture that you're living in, and I'm sure they will be looking at this rule in the future.
So the people are outraged over this, and you get this, right? Because they're saying all the guy was doing was filming in a public space, our public government that we publicly pay for, like that. You see why people are just going, what is going on here?
It seems like a real lack of transparency.
Yeah, I understand the uproar about it. And, streaming back in the 1990s was, the creek in your backyard. We didn't even know what streaming actually was. And so the bottom line here is the rules of the Indiana Senate need to be gone over every year and to bring them up to date. And I'm certain they will look, they will look sternly at this, not sternly, but they will look to find a happy median so you can be ultimately transparent. Back in the 1980s, they didn't even announce the votes in committee of what actually happened. They just either passed the bill or defeated it, and you didn't know who voted for it and against it. So, it's the Indiana Senate continues to be modernized, if you will, and I'm sure this will be looked at.
So, are you saying that the box is a new invention?
I think everything needs review, Casey, and the idea. I'm certain that if the lieutenant governor would have asked permission to do this video, it would have been granted.
Okay, Jim Merritt, our guest, 30 years in the Indiana Senate. You are a man of great reason. You are a man of great compromise. You have seen the video that Casey and I produced for the property tax reform proposal.
Yeah, and as I said on State House Happenings, I'm so proud of you for wearing a tie, Robert. And it would have been a lot better if Casey would have been in it with you.
Well, but, she's going to do all the ones going forward.
Your 4 points are spot on.
Okay, wait, time out. I want you to say that again, because
say it loud and clear.
Because I want the people down the street from us to hear. Because you spent 30 years in the Senate, you're not seen as some radical right winger. You're seen as you are always Mr. Compromise. Can you just say that again?
I think your 4 points are spot on.
So there's nothing in there that was out of bounds or boy, that's really wild. Like I tried to go off what I heard for 2 months in testimony. You're saying that all the stuff I listed there can be accomplished if they wanted to accomplish it.
I think they all are, and if you look at them point by point, now the Doge issue, I know for a fact that state government looks at everything every year through the budget agency. I do believe that you need in the Senate and the House sunset laws where you look at every law every year and review. It's just like the photography rule. I think everything needs to be combed through for efficiencies and for the culture of the day, if you will. But yes, I think freezing assessment is a good thing. I don't know what year it is, but I think local government ought to be able to plan. And 2019 is out of bounds, but I think everything you talk about here, and I've said this countless times on this program, that first of all, what ought to instead of going to special session, because we're aiming that way right now, Governor Braun ought to be coming out and saying, we need to set, before the end of my term of governor, we need to eliminate property taxes. The Florida governor is doing that right now, and they have no income tax down there. So they've got to find different ways to produce revenue for their services. But local government, there ought to be a plan for them on reasonable ways. And we know they have a low income tax vehicle that if they need extra money, they have the referendum that needs to be renovated. I think there are a lot of things that have been talked about this session to help local government, schools, but we can't leave police out on the limb. But bottom line is your 4 points are reasonable. But I think you're going to be seeing with the budget and the forecast. Everybody ought to be watching for the vote on the budget in the Senate committee and then the Senate floor, as well as the forecast, which is happening in mid-April, as to what the guess is, the estimation is, the prediction of the next 2 years of our economic activity.
Jim, Casey's going to strangle me if she doesn't get this one question. You got 30 seconds.
Real quick, Jim, and you can see the video at Casey Daniels 317 or Rob M. Kendall or at WIBC.com. How do we get the 4-point plan officially on the record?
Well, I think you've got it done. I think you've done a really good job. I think everybody listening to this should contact your legislator, Senate and House, and talk to them about the 4-point plan. And you guys can put you ladies and gentlemen, you can definitely put a rally together. You can definitely put a campaign together to tweet at your legislator and send messages to call them, email them, because they listen. They know hot issues, and I think it'll make a point. They're right now looking at solutions, and they're talking to the governor about it. And it's getting down to crunch time.
Jim Merritt, find him on Twitter at Jim_Merritt. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is Kendall Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Tony Kennett. He'll join us. More Hammer and Nigel Records Madness. We got Brooks and Dunn tickets. There's a lot going on. Join us.
Let's talk about my friend Mark Dietel. Recent talk about rising interest rates and economic uncertainty may have you wondering if now is the right time to sell your home. Will I get the price I need? Will it take too long? The good news, you don't have to figure this out by yourself. There's a friendly, no-pressure, experienced agent who eats and sleeps Indianapolis real estate. That's where my friend Mark Dietel comes in. Perhaps you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Greg in Franklin had to say about working with Mark Dietel. Tenant moved out of my investment property and I was ready to sell. I heard about Mark on the radio and everything they say is true. In 15 days on the market, I had a cash offer I wanted on the property. Selling with Mark Dietel was fast, easy, and profitable. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. It's Mark, DIETEL.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
What a day.
You're working too hard.
We're both working too hard with even less to show for it.
What's this?
It's the bills for Tracy's procedure.
This is outrageous.
I know. And Mom just said her prescriptions went up again.
How can working people afford this?
These medical bills are crushing our finances, and these hospitals and insurance groups are making record profits.
I read Indiana has the 9th highest healthcare costs in the nation, and prescription drug costs are out of control.
That's why I voted for Mike Braun. He has a plan to reform Indiana's broken healthcare system. Braun's plan calls for billing transparency, increased access, and lower costs for all Hoosiers.
I hear you. It's good to know help is on the way. Mike Braun's plan will offer real relief for our family budget.
Sign the petition for Braun's healthcare plan at HoosierHope.org. Join Mike Braun's fight for healthcare reform today. Paid for by HoosierHope.org.
Tune in to the Absolute Retirement Planning Show.
When retirement comes about, we're now relying on what we have saved to meet those needs.
Sundays at 9 a.m. right here on 93 WIBC.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work.
For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
I'll say this. There are no entries in the Hoops Fan Hall of Fame who didn't show up to the game. Yes, you in the back.
Professor, March Madness is coming to Indianapolis. Are we ready?
You prepared to bring the fire? Give it 110 from tip to the final buzzer? Oh, you're ready. The NCAA Sweet 16 and Elite 8, March 28th and 30th in Indianapolis. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/MVB tickets. Class dismissed.
You want to listen all day to WIBC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts, Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Casey, you're quite the voyeur.
Well, I just found out this information.
Oh, wait.
Not from asking.
No, time out. No. You're not going to deceive our audience. You waltzed in here, stuck your chest out, and said, "You won't believe how much I know about my neighbors."
Well, one was because there's a sign in the yard. So the neighbors to the left apparently are selling their place.
Oh.
I mean, that's hard to miss. I didn't have to ask questions about that without knowing what's going on. And the neighbors to the right, I thought they moved out a while ago. And I kept talking to Jim about it, and he was like, no, they're still there. Well, then yesterday, he was stopped out in the parking lot by some new people who said that they were renting from the former owners. So I was right. The old people did move out, but now we've got new neighbors moving in.
So no one wants to live around you.
Oh, no. I didn't even put that together.
I mean, aren't you seeing it? It's not a left or right thing, right?
It's a pattern, isn't it?
It's just, yeah.
No, it's a very transitional neighborhood. That's what it is.
Yes.
Soon I'll be transitioning out.
One summer of gunshot or firework is usually enough for most people.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
The neighbors to the left, though, they have a really nice balcony with a lot of plants, and it's beautifully done. So I'm really going to miss enjoying their work.
Were these the flag people?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
That didn't appreciate the American flag that we have out on our patio. They were nice, though. I mean, as long as we agree to disagree.
Yes, very good.
But Indianapolis ranks as number 1 for nosy neighbors. And
in the country?
I think we've just proven why. Yes, in the country.
Oh.
Yeah, this was a study done that was by Secure Data Recovery. 62% of residents have changed their daily routine to avoid a neighbor.
Yeah.
That is the second highest in the country.
So, my beloved neighbor, Jim, who lives across the street from me, he always says this. He says, I love living by you and your dad because you mind your own damn business.
Oh.
And we do, right? Like the street I live on, my dad's been there since the earth was young. The two people across the street from us are originals who've been there longer than he, and then me, and then my buddy fireman Scott, who lives next to me, has been there forever. So the core of where we live is all the same people, and that's part of being a good neighbor. Is unless some major felonious action is taking place in your ear or purview. Stay in your own lane.
Yeah,
leave people alone.
If you saw a bunch of cop cars or fire trucks, you would be like asking what's going on.
But that's where the major felonious action takes place.
Okay.
I'm saying, like, you're just prying into people's business for fun.
I'm not.
Me, it doesn't affect me. I don't care what you do as long as, again, you're not committing crimes against humanity or whatever. We keep to ourselves, right? We're friendly when we see people out. We go up and talk to them. We have a conversation, but I'm not prying you for information like you, or you're got some guy, your poor neighbor backed up, your husband's got him backed up against the car door demanding information.
That's hardly what happened. And for the record, they approached him. So 48% of residents have had a neighbor ask intrusive questions. For example, about the cost of things that they have bought. Now, your neighbor, you're related to him.
Yeah, that's right.
So do you guys discuss, like, would you pay for that? You do that to him, don't you?
Oh, all the time, because I don't buy anything. You know how I am. I've got the first nickel I ever made. But this is, I don't care. This sounds crass, and Susan will probably get mad at me,
You don't care what your neighbors are doing?
I just don't care about your life that much.
No.
I care about your life.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're very close, and I respect my neighbors, and they're very good people.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't care enough about your life to be nosy. If it's something pertinent or something you want me to know, you'll tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to listen. But I don't need to know what's going on behind your walls.
Exactly.
I don't care.
38% have had a neighbor invite themselves over. Now, be honest, and we know Mike is listening. Does he ever invite himself over?
You'll love this. There's how.
When he's not being hired to babysit?
Here's how great my dad is. He messaged me yesterday, and he's like, do you have some milk? And I was like,
cup of sugar?
Yeah, I have some milk. And then there was no response. I was like, would you like some? He's like, well, I don't want to disturb anybody. I was like, what goes on at our house in the middle of the day? There's nothing or anyone there. He's like, well, if no one's over there, I'll come over and get whatever. I said, just take the carton with you. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm very lucky. I am surrounded by, in my immediate area, very, very good neighbors who mind their own damn business, which is your number one job as a neighbor. Unless you're seeing some sort of crime against humanity unfolding in front of you, or some need to intervene to save someone from something, leave people alone.
You've invited yourself over to your neighbors before.
That's right.
You do that all the time.
I got the grandkid.
In fact, you've invited me over to your neighbor's house. So I don't know who's really being intrusive here, Rob.
But it's the house I grew up in, right? So, I mean, it's sort of still my house.
Is it? You're still claiming ownership?
I mean,
Are you paying the property taxes on that house? I bet you're not. So some common nosy neighbor behaviors: asking a lot of questions, staring at people from a distance.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Get out the binoculars. Take a look at what they got going on over there.
Kev, how long do we have before we got to get out of here? Do I have time to get in at 1 minute? All right. So there's a guy who walks in my neighborhood. Tell me if I'm a horrible person on this. There's a guy who walks in my neighborhood. I don't know. He might have moved in 3 or 4 years ago. By all accounts, not on the run from the law. I don't see any crimes against humanity that he's wanted for, but he walks all the time. Like, he just goes on walks. And when he walks, he doesn't engage. Like, if you see someone out, you wave to them.
Is he wearing headphones?
Yes, he's wearing the big headphones, but he's got the look. Like, he's got the I'm gazing into the abyss look, and he walks all of the time. And I so badly just want to walk up to him and go, what is your story?
He's just being healthy,
but he walks all day,
He's
all
de-stressing.
night. I see him when I'm coming home at 1 PM. He's walking. Last night I went for a walk at 9 o'clock. There he was. He's always, what is he doing?
This is interesting because another common nosy neighbor behavior: gossiping about other neighbors.
I don't want to gossip. I just want to know why he walks so much.
You're broadcasting.
What do you do for a job?
Where is Diego Morales, Secretary of State? We've got answers. We've got questions, and we're going to talk about it coming up from 93 WIBC. Good morning.
It's tax time, and tax time is your time to buy a new Nissan and get double your tax refund or down payment only at Andy Moore Nissan of Indianapolis. For a limited time, when you buy any new Nissan, Andy Moore Nissan will double your tax refund or down payment up to $5,000. That means your $1,000 becomes $2,000. Your $2,000 becomes $4,000. Your $4,000 becomes $8,000. This month only, Andy Moore Nissan will double your down payment up to $10,000. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. Good credit, bad credit, even no credit. Our credit experts will get you approved with the best terms, with as little as $0 down on any new Nissan in stock. Andy Moore Nissan is making deals other dealers won't and approving deals other dealers can't. Andy Moore Nissan, 4302 Lafayette Road, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Meanwhile, at Xfinity.
So, influencer life going well?
Oh, yeah. I'm up to 32 followers.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, posting my tap dancing videos is easier than ever because we engineered Xfinity Internet with 99.99% network reliability.
Plus, Xfinity Mobile with Wi-Fi Power Boost gives you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. But wait, tap dancing? You don't tap dance.
Hey, what I lack in skill, I make up with passion.
Do more of what you love and love how fast you do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. Now through April 17th, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $30 a month for 1 year and save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Savings compared to Verizon 5G Internet plus 1 unlimited welcome line and AT&T Internet 300 plus 1 unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Actual speeds vary. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com. Show the coupon at the pharmacy and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recycler Studios, new details coming up about severe weather in Indiana and what it could do this weekend. A celebration of life for a Fishers football player who died earlier this month. You'll hear what family members and friends said about him. And also a concert coming up around Indy 500 time. Those stories and more after Fox on 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, it's 10 o'clock.
It's fresh material for House Democrats. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. They're about to question at a hearing the directors of national intelligence and the CIA about the security breach in a Signal group chat discussing military action. Now, the journalist mistakenly allowed into the chat, Atlantic editor Jeffrey Goldberg, has released more of the messages he saw.
Ahead of airstrikes on Houthi targets in Yemen, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth texted a group of senior national security officials when the attack would begin. The Atlantic has published portions of that group chat, including a message from Hegseth about when an F-15 strike window starts and that a terrorist target was at his known location. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, responding to the new reporting, says the Atlantic has conceded these were not war plans and says the entire story is another hoax written by a Trump hater well known for sensationalist spin.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz just posted on X, no locations were disclosed, nor sources detailed, and foreign partners had already been notified. Waltz has taken responsibility for inadvertently inviting Goldberg into the chat and tells Fox,
"You've got somebody else's number on someone else's contact, so of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now, whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out."
A group called American Oversight is sued for more information about this chat. The judge assigned to it is James Boasberg, who is in the middle of the deportation flight controversy. It was his order to turn the planes around that was not followed. Today, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem will visit the El Salvador jail now housing the alleged Venezuelan gang members deported. Another Trump action could be challenged in court by states.
We got to straighten out our election. This country is so sick because of the election, the fake elections and the bad elections.
The president signed an executive order directing states to get proof of citizenship from voters in federal elections, threatening to pull funding from those that don't comply with that and other requirements. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
With new data coming in, so does new conclusions. You've got a mostly sunny sky right now, 41 degrees in the Circle City. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Forecasters are learning more about potential for severe weather arriving in Indiana this weekend. Cody Moore is with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis.
The Storm Prediction Center has been highlighting Sunday with a chance for severe weather for a couple days now. So the confidence is increasing that we will see severe storms during the day on Sunday.
He says even leading up to this weekend, you'll have to deal with rain and high wind gusts. Family, friends, classmates, and teammates gathered to remember the life of Mason Alexander Tuesday night. He's a football player from Fishers who died in a car crash this month. The celebration of life service was held at the Fishers Event Center, where a church choir sang praises and several people spoke about Alexander's life, which they say was one well-lived. With marijuana still illegal in Indiana, the Indiana Senate Transportation Committee approved a bill on Tuesday to ban marijuana ads on billboards. Tuesday's discussion at the State House centered partly on whether these ads are protected by the First Amendment.
We've got billboards all over the place that say, "Come to my store and buy this." We have trucks, mobile billboards that drive around and sit in front of our parks. That's unacceptable.
That's testimony from State Representative Jim Pressel. It's moved to the Senate Appropriations Committee for more debate. If you were a teacher, you might like to be paid extra, but Chris Davis reports the reason some state lawmakers have objections to that.
So why would we want to pit teachers against each other?
Why under this bill is a chemistry teacher worth more than a second grade teacher? All teachers are high-need teachers because they educate children.
Democratic Representative Tanya Pfaff of Terre Haute speaking against a bill that passed the Indiana House that's likely to become law that would pay some teachers supplemental money if they are considered high-need teachers. Chris Davis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And the country music ensemble
People say I got a drinking problem.
Midland will headline the 2025 Firestone Legends Day concert May 24th at Everwise Amphitheater in Indianapolis. That Grammy-nominated trio, known for hits like Drinkin' Problem, blends classic country, honky-tonk, and rock influences. Tickets for the concert go on sale this Friday. I'm Sean Herrick on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 10:04, Kendall and Casey coming back in 1 minute.
Planning on inviting friends and family over for basketball tournaments, hockey finals, or baseball preseason? Whatever you're hosting this spring, you know the hustle to get the house looking perfect. But there's one thing you can't fix on your own. It's the uneven front porch, tripping over the raised parts of the driveway, or the cracked pool deck that will surely stand out and ruin your fun. Keep your gatherings fun and your home safe. Start with a free inspection and quote from Indiana Foundation Service. Indiana Foundation Service knows how to fix these problems for you quickly and efficiently. Schedule a free inspection, which includes a no-obligation quote, and the team of experts from Indiana Foundation Service will put together a plan to solve your home's issues. Go to indianafoundation.com today to book your appointment. That's indianafoundation.com. Indiana Foundation Service, your trusted local experts for all things foundation.
Indiana Foundation Service, reliability from the ground up.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
I don't even want to do this segment now. I just want to get to our guest.
Oh, you want to do this segment? I know you do. You were all worked up about it last night.
Yeah, but now I'm more enamored with the guest that we got coming up in a little bit.
She's beautiful. So we have to talk about what happened with Diego Morales.
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State. He was supposed to be at an event last night in Hamilton County Town Hall with all of the other statewide officials.
That's right. Life Church.
He was on the flyer.
That's right.
Said he was going to be there. You had questions prepared.
I did. So the Hamilton County Republican Party had an event at Life Church. Now, Super Mario Masalamani, or however you say his last name, and nobody can pronounce his last name, so don't be mad at me. He doesn't like Rokita, so Rokita didn't get invited, but everybody else, Daniel Elliott, state treasurer, Nishala, the comptroller, Micah, and then Diego. And Diego was on the flyer, and they advertised him and said, if you have questions, come. Well, as soon as I saw that, I said, well, I have several questions for Diego. Chief amongst them, why did you blow off your budget hearing, and where did you go that was more, because they said he was on an economic development mission or event or whatever. His legislative director and attorney went in his place. And I said, well, the Secretary of State has no economic development obligation. Like, that's not your job. That's the job of the governor and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. So why would you blow off? What economic development mission could have possibly been important enough to completely disrespect the taxpayers and blow off your budget hearing?
I think it's because he didn't want to answer the questions that Ed Delaney was asking him last time, back in January.
So Diego's, the budget hearing he blew off was in the Senate because the budget emanates out of the House, passes the House, then goes to the Senate. He didn't show up to the Senate. And you're right, Casey, he didn't show up to the Senate because he had this little entanglement the last time that he had to talk about his budget.
How many relatives, including in-laws, do you have on your payroll in your various groups?
You know, we hire based on qualifications and solely based on qualifications.
I'm assuming they're all beautifully qualified. How many of these beautifully qualified relatives do you have on your staff, in-laws or not in-laws?
Everyone on my staff are uniquely qualified for the positions.
I'm not questioning that. I think they're all great. How many of them are there, and what is their relationship, and what are you paying them?
I appreciate the question, sir, but I came here to do a job, and I'm going to get the best of the best, and I'm glad to tell you that
I'm giving you that they're the best. What are you paying, and how many are there?
I think there is no secret. There is a transparent portal there for everyone to see them. So,
the transport portal tells me who's your brother-in-law, who's your cousin.
well,
That's a hell of a portal.
Well, I'm very proud to tell you that I stand with my team members. They are the best in the business.
Did you hire one of your brother-in-laws for a newly created position and pay him more than $100,000?
I appreciate the question, sir.
You did, didn't you? You're not answering? You did do that, right?
I do have the best of the best in our office, and I'm proud to say. Secretary of State's office has the best state government employees.
Mr. Secretary, I've been here a long time, but I've never seen such an abject refusal to tell the public what you're doing, and you're here asking for millions of dollars in increases for your office, and you won't answer these fundamental questions. I will have to vote against any part of the budget for your agency, given that. You take no bid contracts. You have a bonus program that is not an organized program. You won't tell me who your in-laws are or relatives who work for you. You won't deal with the fact that you give no bid contracts and then get tens of thousands of dollars in political contributions. So just for the record, I'm not asking you more questions because I'm sick of these refusals. And you're going to get a no vote on every aspect of your budget from this seat, and I hope from many others. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Boom, roasted.
So fast forward to more recently at another budget hearing, and he was a no-show, just like last night at that town hall.
And we all know he didn't show. Well, now we know why he didn't show up there because nobody could find him.
Mm-hmm.
The Secretary of State for the state of Indiana had become Mark Sanford. Now, people remember Mark Sanford was the governor of South Carolina. He was at one point seen as a potential presidential candidate. This was in the 2010s. He then goes missing, like he just straight up disappears for a week or 2 weeks. Everybody's like, where is our governor? And then it turns out he's hiking with his mistress in some foreign country when they finally tracked him down. And this is like very similar type of behavior where how does the Secretary of State, this is not some janitor. He's in charge of elections. He's in charge of businesses. He's in charge of a whole bunch of different other agencies. How does the guy simply disappear? And then when you ask his staff, where is he? He's on an economic development mission.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't have any economic development responsibilities. No, he's on an economic development mission. And so like there was 4 or 5 days where there was no known or verified sighting of the Secretary of State. And now it turns out some Indian group made some post that he's in India.
The Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. They posted a picture of him, glimpses from the insightful, exclusive interactive session with Diego Morales, Secretary of State, Indiana. And they hashtag it with all sorts of things. Indiana business, business expansion, trade relations, economic growth, business networking, business collaboration, economic development, international business. Interesting. The Secretary of State of Indiana is responsible for economic development in the state of Indiana.
And why didn't he tell anyone where he was going? Why didn't his legislative director or attorney say he's in India?
But here's my question, Rob. Who paid for this?
Great question.
Yeah, because we know that he has had an ethics complaint posed against him previously. The Indiana chapter of the League of Women Voters filed an ethics complaint saying that he was using his position for self-promotion. You remember the whistles?
Oh, yeah.
And now the maps that have his name on him. Okay, so a lot of self-promotion, but who's paying for his trip to India?
And the question remains, why did he go? What was the premise of the mission? Was Braun involved? I mean, Braun is in charge of essentially economic development. He oversees, for better or worse, the Indiana Economic Development Commission. Did Braun send him over there? I cannot imagine under any planet that if you were to say we have an economic development mission to a foreign country that you would send Diego Morales. In a state of 7 million people, he would be person 6,966,332 that I would send. I cannot imagine that the Indiana Economic Development Corporation approved of this or was on board with this. And so the question is, why does this guy keep finding himself involved in what appears to be very sketchy behavior where he's doing things that are totally unrelated to his job as the Secretary of State?
Now, I know at one point last night you were thinking about filing a missing persons report.
I seriously
to
was.
see where he was.
If we had not, this is, and you and I had this conversation last night because this tweet about him being in India only surfaced a couple hours ago. Did I or did I not tell you that, Casey, at the end of our show, I am pondering filing a missing persons report on Diego Morales?
Yeah, and I was thinking, well, we could do something with FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and see, his receipts from his trip.
But, part of it rests on, I believe his title, Keegan Kagan is what I call him. I can't remember if his name is pronounced Keegan or Kagan. I think his title is legislative director. He's the guy that went to the hearing where
on his behalf.
Right, and then he was the guy that was at the thing last night. And he's the one peddling the bull crap. So Keegan Kagan needs to get honest about this too, because Keegan Kagan knows where he's at and what he's doing. It's like Thomas Carl Cook with Joe Hogsett. Thomas Carl Cook, the reason they covered up for him was he knew where he was during the riots. Thomas Carl Cook knew exactly where Joe Hogsett was during the riots, and that's why Hogsett covered up his bullcrap, because he doesn't want people knowing where he was during the riots, which we all know where he was and what he was doing. But Keegan Kagan knows exactly what Diego's doing at all times. They're very close. I think Keegan Kagan helped run Diego's campaign to become the Secretary of State. That's why he's in that position. And so Keegan Kagan needs to cut the bull crap and stop fibbing to people when he gets up on stage or playing loose with the truth and tell people where he is and what he's doing. Why did we have to find out from a tweet after several days? Keegan Kagan was on that stage last night. Why didn't he go into specific detail? Here's where he's at. Here's what he's doing. Here's how much money it's going to make for the taxpayers. He didn't do that. And the same thing with the attorney. The attorney, we had do we have the tape of him in front of the Senate?
Yeah.
Or the attorney? Yeah. Do we have that tape?
It's the one that's it's the budget, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So where's the Secretary of State?
He's traveling today on an economic development project. I can't really tell you specifically at this minute where he's at.
Senator, I will say that he did reach out to us and tried to do a different day, and we couldn't accommodate that. So
I appreciate that. I think this is the second time before this committee that he misses a meeting. So my comments directed towards the agency is that I think every statewide official showed up before this committee, and I don't know what's more important. It's not the job of the Secretary of State to be traveling for economic development. I think that's either IEDC or somebody else. We have a secretary for that. But I think it's disappointing that he's not here to represent the mission of his office and ask for what is needed for the next few years.
Okay, so to Keegan Kagan, because I know Keegan Kagan, stop covering for this guy. You do not want to go down with this dude. You don't want to be lumped in with him. You're a decent guy. I know you. I've met with you. We've had lunch together before. You seem like a decent person. Stop covering for this guy. Do not go down with this dirtball, Diego Morales. And to the legislators, stop giving him money. You can fix this tomorrow by saying we will not give you 1 penny for your office. And in fact, on top of that, we're going to start stripping by statute things that you oversee every single day until you come in here and you tell us where you were and what you were doing, and you answer these questions about your brother-in-law, about the no-bid contracts,
about the bonuses.
These legislators always act like when they don't want to do something hard, boy, somebody should really do something about that.
You are the somebody.
You have all the power. It is time for people to put their boot on this guy and stop dealing with his. I do not understand why they tolerate this from him. Does he have nudes of everybody? Does he have secret battle plans that Indiana's set to invade Illinois? I do not understand why these lawmakers keep taking this from this guy. They clearly have a track record of going after people they don't like. See Curtis Hill. See what they're doing to Micah right now.
Right. And who's ever running the official website of the Indiana state government, just realize that you have Micah or Diego Morales' social media linked to his campaign sites, not his official Secretary of State sites, which is what we've been told, an ethics violation.
So, all right, are we going to talk to our guest next? Can we do that?
I think that's up to her.
Not that you're not wonderful, but I'm just dying to. I have so many questions to our special guest.
Far more interesting, I understand. You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
In the Matt Bear Tournament of Traffic, it's win and go home.
It's taken a lot of work to get here. You just want to advance through the field.
All right, traffic is really backing up on the south.
And to do that, you've got to drive the lanes.
2 vehicle crash blocking the left and center lanes.
You guys know this. You've got to find the openings and take your shots.
Updating your traffic bracket. Mornings and afternoons.
Prepare.
Construction backups brutal. Watch for the zones.
March Matt Bear Traffic Madness is on 93 WIBC.
Come on, Indy. Don't use the spring to paint your house year after year. Do what Deanna did. She called Rhino Shield.
I was noticing some cracks and the paint's faded. I was like, okay, I think I should get my house painted. So my neighbor had a Rhino Shield placard in the yard. And after they were finished, I was just, wow. With the warranty and everything, it just seemed silly not to go that route.
The ceramic coating of Rhino Shield is specifically formulated for our climate.
So the Rhino Shield crew came out. Nothing was damaged in the process. I was very happy. They just didn't leave a mess. You couldn't even tell they were there. And the house looked so different. It just looked like a new home.
Backed by a 25-year transferable warranty. And now get the protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
Rhino Shield, I think it increases the value and the curb appeal of your home. Definitely worth it.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The April 15th deadline to file the FAFSA is fast approaching. When you complete the free application for federal student aid, you help your child access Indiana's nearly $400 million in financial aid, including programs like the 21st Century Scholarship. It also determines your student's eligibility for federal grants and scholarships for college or certificate programs. Visit studentaid.gov to get started. For complete information, go to learnmoreindiana.org/FAFSA. Paid for by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education.
It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails.
The phone number, 317-684-8444. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey are on 93 WIBC. Moved it up just a little bit, Rob.
Called an audible because we have a very special guest that I need lots of time to talk to.
Okay.
Because I have so many questions about what this person... they have the most fascinating existence imaginable, and we needed ample amounts of time for me to. I'm not a nosy neighbor, but I am a nosy talk show host.
That's true. This is true. So let's get to a voicemail, and this one is about not only the mailers that came out, but also the property tax rally.
Hi, I'm Jenny from Clinton County. I just wanted to let you know I got the same exact mailer with the same exact words from Van Natter. What an idiot. Anyway, I wanted to call to thank Rob and Casey for putting on that rally. That was the best. I took the day off for that. I had a lot of fun, and I enjoyed seeing all those people. But what I really wanted to say is something that I know these idiot politicians are going to hear, because they do listen to your show, is that you have formed an alliance here. You have educated Rob. You have brought these people together. We are listening. We are becoming educated on where our tax dollar is going. Those people should fear you. I was amazed about how many people showed up. I went for a whole bunch of people that couldn't take the day off. I also went for a bunch of people that I have also told them, hey, Rob Rob's a good teacher about the politics and what's going on. They are listening. They don't even know how far that's going. And they should fear Rob Kendall. Also, primaries coming up, and they got to be wetting their pants over this. They have to be, because we all know how to get rid of them very quickly now. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Casey and Kevin. Had some good input as well. I'm ready, and we're all voting, and we got more people voting here in the past couple of years now, and listening and knowing what these people are and who these people are. And I hope they get rid of Rod Bray, too, because he's an idiot. I don't even like the way he looks when he talks. You can tell he's just a liar. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Thank you for everything you do. I love you both.
That's a very nice phone call.
So there was another mailer that came out that did the copy and paste, and this one was from House Speaker Todd Houston.
Oh, Fishers.
Yeah, exact same format.
So we got Hendricks County, Hamilton County, Johnson County, Vanderburgh County, all with the identical lettering.
Yeah, mailer. Yeah. Saying that they're working for you.
All in the same things?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Upholding fiscal responsibility and streamlining government.
You think adding $2.7 billion to the budget is upholding fiscal responsibility? I mean, that's a lot of money for the fiscal. I would hate to see what lack of fiscal responsibility looks like if $2.7 billion is the fiscally responsible for a state of 7 million people.
Would that be a decrease in the increase?
Thank you. Yes. Hey, so I got an email yesterday. I will not name the person who sent this to me, but Hendricks, I think he's a Hendricks County resident. Doesn't matter. Anyway, his representative is Greg Sturwald. And we've talked about Sturwald before. He's another one of these guys who's been there since the earth was young. He represents, I think, Avon and Plainfield. And my thing about Greg Sturwald is he's one of the most obnoxious people in the State House, because every time you have a conversation with him, he'll tell you how hard he's working. And there are people there are people hearing this right now going, you know what, he's right. He does say that all the time. I've never seen a person accomplish less that tells you how hard they're working at accomplishing less. He's the guy who wrote the criminal reform bill that has caused all these local governments to raise taxes the past 10 years because they didn't take away the obligations of the local governments. They just sent new people to them. Like new people. This is not a state correctional issue anymore. It's a you issue now, county jail. Oh, cool. Where's our money? No, you're not getting any of that. So then Greg and his buddies can send out these stupid mailers like this telling you how they're being fiscally responsible or cutting taxes or whatever.
Government.
And they're forcing other people to take the services they just don't want to handle anymore. So that's Greg Sturwald. Anyway, a friend of mine sent this to me. He asked Greg about not doing anything to help anyone with property taxes. Here's the response that he got. So I'm going to read it to you. Good evening, blank. Hope you're doing well. I can tell you that just as we did with lowering income taxes in a responsible fashion. By the way, they're cutting his version of responsible fashion on lowering income taxes is a fraction of a percentage point if the state revenue grows a certain amount.
Right. They have to reach a certain level.
The state has to grow for you to get a fraction of a percentage of an income tax. So that's his version of responsible fashion. We will do the same with property taxes. Well, right there, we're done. That is, you're getting screwed.
Yeah.
If they do property taxes the same way they've done the income tax, you're getting next to nothing. We intend to give the maximum tax relief possible. There's not a single plan right now from anyone other than Braun, which the House and Senate have both rejected, that provides any actual relief.
Exactly.
What the hell is he talking about? He's an attorney, so he's doing attorney speak here. As you know, the property tax system is far more complicated than it should be. You've been there for decades. Do something about it. Oh, my gosh. Like, again, as though he's not in charge.
Me can't help.
Yeah. Well, someone should do something. Morgan County had the highest average increase in property taxes in the state, and yet 28% of property owners there saw a decrease in their property taxes. That is a crazy statistic. Jeff Thompson is leading the effort to switch.
Okay.
So the guy who said my goal is to decrease the increase. Yes.
Okay.
He's leading the effort to switch from a levy-based system to a rate-based system. That will mean if your rate goes up, so will your taxes and vice versa. That is not necessarily true in the present system. Thanks for keeping in touch, Greg.
I'm surprised you didn't say, call me.
Yeah. What did he say? He said nothing. Greg Sturwald is an attorney. He gave attorney speak mumbo jumbo. They're doing nothing for you. And he doesn't want to just say, I wish they would just say, we hate you, screw you, leave us alone. We'll see you next year.
You're getting no relief.
Right. I wish they would just finally.
At least that's honest,
yes.
right?
All right.
Okay.
This guest
Right.
when we come back. I don't
Sure.
even think a tease. Do you want to tease our guest? Like, she's so fabulous.
I'll tease her all the time. Look at you.
This is the most interesting guest maybe we've ever had on this show.
You think?
She tells if people are lying or not for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Her job is to look at you and go, you're full of it. I bet trying to get one past her on the dating market was a nightmare.
Can you imagine being like a child?
Her job is to determine
Ooh.
who's a liar and who's not.
Mhm.
We're gonna find out about this person next.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Save a Tree. You know, we're running through March. It means April's going to be here, warmer weather, and it's time to start thinking about your lawn. Now, I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, all that work again this year. You want your yard to look great, but don't want to deal with the hassle. So I got to do what I did. Call the pros at Save a Tree, the tree, shrub, and lawn experts. Save a Tree can get your yard thriving and help you enjoy it all summer long. We've had some tough winter weather, and I know you're looking at it going, man, where do I even begin? The good news, you don't have to begin. Just get a hold of the pros at Save a Tree. Could be one of the best home upgrades you've ever made. See how beautiful your yard can be. Set up your own free evaluation at saveatree.com. That's SAVATREE.com. SAVATREE.com. Save a Tree, the tree, shrub, and lawn experts.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's not just the weekend they're concerned about. You've got a mostly sunny sky, and it's 44 in the Circle City with highs today in the upper 50s. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:30. Even before severe weather arrives in Indiana this weekend, Cody Moore with the National Weather Service says you'll have plenty to deal with leading up to that in the form of rain and wind.
In our forecast, we have gusts to 20 miles per hour, but I bet you that will increase because usually with these storms with strong fronts coming through, we get pretty windy out of it ahead of it, so it will likely be pretty windy.
He says Sunday appears to be the day with the biggest threats to watch out for across the state. Packages of mystery seeds being mailed to Texas from China are showing no signs of slowing. Texas Ag Commissioner Sid Miller says whoever's sending them there is unsolicited and they're branching out.
Last week we did get a plant. First plant we got.
The recipient called the Agriculture Commission, which took possession. It's now part of a larger investigation by the USDA. Commissioner Miller says it's possible that the Chinese may be testing the limits of our mail system's security. And hitting the road this summer for a world tour is Lady Gaga. Her trek will kick off July 16th at a T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas before heading to Seattle, New York City, Miami, Toronto, and Chicago. This will mark Gaga's first arena tour since 2018. I'm John Herrick on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 765-545-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 765-545-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
Blood, sweat, tears. At Bill Estes, we know it takes hard work and years of doing the right thing to build a business people can depend on. That's why we don't make empty promises and expect your trust. Estes earns it. From Ford F-150s and Toyota Tacomas to Ram 1500s and Chevy Silverados, we have the trucks you'll love at prices you can believe in. But don't just take our word for it. Your trust means something. Estes earns it. BillEstes.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIPC.
Casey, your days of lying to me are over.
Oh, you think so?
Done.
I never lie to you, Rob. I'm a good person.
My days of lying to you. Let me rephrase it.
That's right.
They're over. Done with.
I brought the heat with me. Actually,
who do you have for us today?
This is a relative of mine, and she is a former federal investigator and polygraph examiner. You know, Kristi Noem just announced that they're going to be using polygraphs to start finding out who was leaking all the ICE raids. So this is an area that the federal government is really taking seriously.
So your job is to see if people are lying for a living.
Yes.
How can I ask you, because I don't want to reveal who you are or what you do, and it's cool that you're amazing that you're here with us. Can I ask how you got into this? Did you just have several boyfriends that lied to you when you were younger, and then you went on a mission to seek kill? Like, how do you do that?
You know, I get this question all the time, and honestly, I stumbled upon it. I really did, and I think I told you earlier, I was a stay-at-home mom. Husband was active duty for many years, so I was the constant at home with our kids. And as they got older, I wanted to start a new career, started out in nursing years ago. And so I stumbled upon my agency, interned, and worked my way up. And, in the back of my mind, and I don't know, I think I was always fascinated with polygraph. We see it portrayed on television, movies, that sort of thing. And I was always fascinated. And so once I got into my agency, I parlayed myself over into polygraph, and you have to interview for it. I mean, it's a process to even get picked up for this, sit in front of a board. So the school only has a few slots for each agency, maybe 3 or 4 iterations a year. So it's very competitive.
You can probably tell you don't even need the machine anymore, right? Like, you probably can look at somebody and for the most part, if they're lying.
Yeah. So polygraph is a tool. It is a tool to gather more information or to gain a confession. And so we always joke, anybody can operate the instrument. That's what we call the polygraph. It's an instrument.
Does it work? Is it actually, or is it just like a prop?
And I've used this analogy before. It's kind of like a drill. It's how good is the operator? Yeah. My husband's drill is a great drill. Now, if I try to use it, would it work very well? Probably not.
Yeah.
So it depends on how much experience you have. But we call it the total package of deception because, that just kind of confirms what you already know from the body language, the verbal cues, the total package.
So, okay, and then you're Casey's relative, so I don't want to hog the whole time, but I was so excited you came in here. So in the movies, somebody will do a polygraph, they'll rip the sheet off, they'll go huddle in the corner and go, "What do you think, Fred?" That's not how it works, right?
Not at all. In fact, we don't even have sheets anymore. That was
really?
way before my time. No, it's all computerized. So everybody comes in and says, "Where are the needles? Where's the paper?" I'm like, "I don't know. I've never seen that." So, I've seen it, but I've never, operated it like that. So yeah, it's nothing. It's really hard for me to watch polygraph portrayed on television.
Kind of like hard for us to watch radio portrayed on television.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, you don't have the conversation during the polygraph. You have to sit very, very still. So it is nothing like you see on television.
So what are some of you said body language or clues that people give off? What are some clues that people do or tells when they're lying?
I'll give you some just really generic ones. And this will help you in your daily life. If you ask somebody a question.
I love that she's like, this will help you lie to people in your daily life.
No,
recognize a liar.
How to spot a liar. So if somebody, says, "I swear on a Bible, I swear on my child's life, I swear to God," that's a huge red flag.
Really?
So know that that's a really big.
Is that because
red
they're adding to, like, they're putting layers onto it, or qualifiers?
Yes, distance.
Yeah.
We call it distance. Oh. Yeah. So that's a huge red flag. Somebody and the innocent person, we can tell the difference because when we are in an interrogation and we are, let's say it's an innocent person,
right?
They will be very adamant about, "I didn't do it.
Right.
I didn't do it," and they will get really upset. the person that has deception will kind of throw in little things here or there. I swear I didn't do it. Why would I do something like that?
Right.
They start asking questions back. So listen.
Like they're trying to convince you.
Correct. Or
Yeah.
somebody trying to kind of, we call it buying time because it's harder to be deceptive than to tell the truth.
Right.
I remember back when Bill Clinton came out and the whole Monica Lewinsky thing happened, and he stood up and he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And I remember hearing somebody say, he's lying, because if he was telling the truth, he would have used a contraction. He would have said, I didn't. Instead, he said, I did not.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Now, are all of these, every time it happens, an indicator of deception? No. And so we have to know that. Is it a red flag? Yes. And we put together the red flags, and that was a big tell, because normally that is very scripted. You don't say, I did not do that.
Right.
If you're having a conversation, I didn't do it. Innocent person was, I didn't do it. So listen to those kinds of things. So that was that's a great pickup.
Okay. So, and I told you, I said, I think your life is fascinating to me because I grew up, my father was a federal law enforcement officer, and he could tell people were lying, years and years of dealing with this. He is desperate to know if you think a sociopath can beat the machine. So sociopath is someone without feelings, right? That's someone who has no sense of remorse.
Correct. And so now, would I polygraph a psychopath? No, a sociopath. So it's based on the fight or flight response. We have all been taught right from wrong. Somebody has put that moral compass in us, whether it be our parents, another relative, or society as a whole, right? You cannot beat your fight or flight. So a sociopath, it's mostly they try to say things that we think they think that society wants to hear.
Yeah.
Now, they can't beat their fight or flight. It's just, you can't.
It's ingrained.
That's fascinating.
And people think they can, don't they?
Oh, it just blows me away. And I've worked on so many criminal cases where, and I have to be unbiased going into this.
Sure.
I've read the case facts, but I have to be very unbiased with it. And, somebody will come in and from the case facts, I mean, that they pretty much did it. And they can lawyer up right away. And I've had multiple people do that right away, lawyer up. And sometimes I think people just want to see if they can, try to beat it, or does this thing really work? Or they're fascinated. A lot of times people say, I'm taking this because I'm fascinated by it. I want to see what this is like.
Yeah.
So Casey, do you want to introduce our guest? Because I don't want to violate the rules of introducing the guests that have been laid out for you.
Sure. So this is a relative of mine, and she is a former federal investigator and polygraph examiner.
Okay, so have you ever been fooled by someone where you're like, maybe they didn't do it, and then it turned out they absolutely. Has anybody ever beat you?
No. No. And
She's that good. She's that good.
Here's a great example, though. It's interesting you say that, because I remember being a junior polygraph examiner, and
wait, there's levels.
Oh, for sure.
It's like junior sales associate.
Yes, and
but there's also levels, state, federal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's a whole other topic that we could talk about. But I think when you first start out, and I've now trained people, and we would always say, trust your charts. That gives us a great indication if there's deception, if they're telling the truth. And in a criminal case, if somebody goes deceptive and you're just like, wow, I mean, did they do it? Because somebody can come across like the nicest person.
Yeah.
And then once you start interrogating, you're like, gosh, I really hope I'm not interrogating an innocent person.
Right.
But then you start seeing those signs of deception, and you're like, wow, okay, no, we got this. And I will tell you, it takes 2 to 3 hours to gain a confession.
Really?
Yes.
It's not okay. So we have a saying on this show that I don't notice people's appearances. So just bear with me with this next
He's
question.
lying, isn't he?
So on like you picture it on TV, like you're obviously not on camera right now, but it's some, Jake and the Fat Man type character coming in, doing the interrogation and the interview. You do not meet that appearance. Have you been able to use have you been able to use that to your advantage in terms of being able to get things out of people that other people might not have?
100%.
They probably underestimate you, don't they?
100%. And that is, I guess, kind of, I've used it as my little secret weapon. It's a tool, for sure. And I've been pulled to work on certain cases because of an appearance or because of a demeanor. And it's, it's not sexist or anything like that. There are just certain people that should be working on certain cases. And I can go into different personas. I can go to a mom voice, or I can go in, I can be a little hardcore.
Yeah.
So
what would that sound like? You being hardcore?
Well, I never yell. I never pound.
Oh, really?
Absolutely
not.
That
doesn't happen?
That never, well, I mean, I'm sure it happens,
right.
But I'm like, how's that working for you? It's not.
Sure.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
No. You get more bees with honey.
Yeah.
For
or in this
sure.
case, you get more murderers with honey. Yeah.
You do.
Hammer said, Casey, Hammer graciously said, can you stay for another segment?
Sure.
Hammer graciously said we can have his segment because this is so
He's fascinated by this
interesting.
too,
This is great. Yeah. So you can stay for another segment?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Tony Kennett, he'll join us. More Hammer and Nigel Records madness. We got Brooks and Dunn tickets. There's a lot going on. Join us.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through May 4th, new customers can get started with 300 megabit internet and Security Edge for $69 a month for 24 months. And ask how to get free installation on qualifying bundles. Plus, find out how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra. After 24 months, regular rates apply.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Say goodbye to cracked, stained floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out from their many colors. Upgrade your home today like I did. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios. They come with a lifetime warranty and one-day professional installation. Call now for a free estimate. 877-417-0635. They're also online at galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth it. If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-659-7540. 800-659-7540. 800-659-7540. That's 800-659-7540.
Indiana patients rely on many types of pharmacies to access their medications and critical healthcare services. But a proposal being considered in the Indiana legislature called SB 140 would disrupt access to medications for Indiana patients. SB 140 would impose government mandates blocking access to critical pharmacy options and services in Indiana. Lost access to pharmacy options would directly harm many of Indiana's most vulnerable patients, including patients fighting cancer and heart disease, many of whom rely on specialty pharmacies for their care. SB 140 would even hike costs for Indiana patients by imposing a $10 tax on every prescription filled in the state. That would often fall directly on the patient. Tell your state legislator, protect access to medications, reject higher costs. Put Indiana patients first by voting no on SB 140. Paid for by conservatives for lower healthcare costs.
It's dent season, the time of year Mother Nature decides to take out her aggression on your vehicle. Don't paint your car, go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal. PDR is paintless dent removal that saves your factory finish and is way less invasive than traditional body shop repairs. And it's faster too, sometimes same day. Google Kill a Dent Removal and check out the reviews and photos. Then schedule your repair. When Mother Nature throws a tantrum and messes up the look of your vehicle, don't paint your car, go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal.
If this is the year to build your custom dream home, Joyner Homes is ready to help make your dream come true. They offer the flexibility to build on your own lot, allowing you to build a home in the place you've always envisioned. A dedicated in-house team of experts will guide you through every step, offering unmatched personalization and flexibility. Joyner Homes provides clear and upfront pricing and floor plans to inspire you. There's no time like the present to get in touch with Joyner Homes to talk about your vision and learn more about their building process. Visit JoynerHomes.com.
One of the season's most anticipated games is almost here.
Turner slips the ball to Halliburton, bounces once and beats the clock with a three from the right edge.
See Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, and the Pacers battle Luka Doncic and the Lakers on Wednesday.
Connell hands to Siakam. They don't guard him and they pay. The lead is 20.
Your Pacers host the Los Angeles Lakers Wednesday at 7:30, and it's their only regular season visit. Get your tickets at Pacers.com. Pacers-Lakers, Wednesday at 7:30.
Never miss your favorite shows on WIBC. Get your content to go. Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, Tony Kennett, The Gun Guy, Home and Garden. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
We are learning how not to lie. And if you lie to the wrong people, you're not getting away with it.
This is true. Joining us in the studio right now, a relative of mine. She is a former federal investigator and a polygraph examiner.
Okay, I know Casey has something she wants to ask you about, but first, we were talking during the break, and I said, my wife would love you because she's super into the true crime stuff. And one of the things that we have always talked about is on these true crime stories, how these just complete idiots who do these crimes agree to take the polygraph test. And one of the cases that stands out to me is this case of Chris Watts, who was a guy in Colorado. He had a mistress. He killed his wife, his unborn baby, and his two little girls and dumped them in this oil tanker. And it took like 3 days for them to figure it out. They kind of knew he'd done it, but he agreed to take the polygraph. He obviously fails miserably and then breaks down and fully confesses. It was a very famous national case. Why do these people who are morons think that they're going to be able to beat the system?
Narcissist.
Is that it?
I mean, it could be narcissism. It could be people thinking, does this really work?
Yeah.
Doubting it. Does this work? And people are fascinated by it. Again, you only see it on television. So this is real life. Does it really work? What's this like? I think that all the time. I'm like, why are you taking this? You don't have to.
Because they straight up told him, the interrogation is pretty famous and available on the internet. They straight up told him, the lady goes, you are not smart enough to beat this. If you did it, we will know within a few minutes of walking out of here. Like she told him, you're not going to beat this if you did it. And he did it anyway.
Right. Well, think about the type of person he is anyway.
Yeah.
Anyone that can do that to your wife and children. I mean, there's obviously something wrong. And interesting, before he even took the polygraph, an indicator of deception or guilt by him, they were showing him a video of him sort of, have to be careful what I say, sort of doing and working in some of the things with the crime.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Some elements of the crime, and they had him on video, and he actually at one point turned his back to the video that they were playing for him to distance himself from that.
Right. Right. Like he couldn't watch it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, if you're showing them evidence, if they look away, that in our industry, we like to show evidence a lot, but we use it sparingly.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and we'll reenact crimes, because in polygraph, it's a memory test. So if I'm doing a stabbing, I'll use the hand motion,
really?
And reenact that crime so the person relives the crime. An innocent person won't.
And then their fight or flight response will
correct
supercharge.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
That's okay. So one of the more famous cases that you've worked on was the Golden State Killer. Tell us about that.
So that was not a case I worked on in polygraph. That was early on in my career. And I was in cold case homicide at the time. And we knew there was a nexus to my agency. And that's why we were pulled in to work on it. And I actually profiled him for our agency. And what that means is kind of a little bit different, I think, than what people think. Oh, profiling.
Sure.
We scrubbed all the case facts. And so every person and looked at the victims and their description of him. What was he wearing? How was he acting? Physical appearance. And we put together this sort of profile of him, of the person we were looking for. We had his DNA, but we had over 4,000 suspects. And at this point, we didn't even know if he was still alive. Are we looking for somebody alive? Is he dead? But interesting, in one of the recordings, and we had audio recordings of him, and we knew he had children because we could hear he had called one of the victims to scare them. And we heard children in the background.
Oh, wow.
So that was a big indicator that he either has children or grandchildren.
Yeah.
Right? So it was just very interesting of the things that we could kind of pick up from that.
I've heard you say that before, that audio to you is a big determiner. You can, based on how somebody's talking or what they're saying, their inflection will direct you in a certain way.
Their cadence, how people say things for a reason. They say things a particular way for a reason. And so again, it's not magic, and it's not one thing. And it's interesting, people will say, oh, well, because they looked up to the left, or because they did this, they're lying. That's not necessarily true. And so a part of our job is to talk to you for quite some time and see what your tells are. I'm going to ask you questions that I know to be true.
Yeah, right.
So I want to know what your norms are. Maybe that is normal for you.
And people are more apt to want to talk to you than, like we said, the traditional what we think of, in terms of, the Jake and the Fat Man, or the commish type of cop, Dennis Franz, right?
It's almost like gaining their trust.
For sure. For sure. You have to build a rapport. People don't confess to people they don't like. You don't want to talk to somebody that's yelling at you, degrading you, making you feel bad.
It's just going to make you become more defensive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This has been awesome. Thanks for doing all the work to make this possible. That's the way our show works. Casey does all the work, and then I just sit here and I'm like, Casey, thanks for doing all the work.
Look, he's not lying about that.
No, not at all. Absolutely truthful.
Totally telling the truth.
Casey's told me about you for a long time, and it was so cool to get to meet you, and you're every bit as interesting as Casey said. So thanks for sharing some of this with our audience.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Yeah. We've got to discuss, there was an article, Wish TV, foreclosures in Indiana, Rob.
Oh, yeah, they're up. They're on the rise.
They're on the rise, specifically Marion County.
Property taxes, rising property taxes, insurance, a big part of that.
We're going to get to that on the way. From 93 WIBC.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Are you wanting comfort at half the price? Now's the time, because Lazy Boy and Smith Brothers are 50% off with extra discounts for cash. Thinking about getting outside soon? Berlin Gardens and Pollywood Outdoor Furniture are up to 20% off during the early season sale. Hurry in to Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Sale ends Monday with free delivery.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. But most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
More than 100 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Your one blood donation can help save the lives of up to 3 people. Give blood through the American Red Cross to help hospital patients. Visit redcrossblood.org today.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recycler Studios, what you can expect from the upcoming weather in Indiana, how some teachers could be getting some more money, and the debate about it that happened on Tuesday, plus what happened to the Indianapolis Zoo president lately involving a chimpanzee. Those stories and much more headed your way after Fox News Radio. You are listening to 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, and it's now 11 o'clock.
The director of the CIA, defiant at a House hearing. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
My responsibility as CIA director, one of its responsibilities is to kill terrorists.
And John Ratcliffe just told lawmakers that's what they did in a controversial group chat discussing military action in Yemen. But Democrats keep demanding an investigation into how a journalist was allowed into that chat. Congressman Jim Hines said at the hearing
that people in the most dangerous and sensitive jobs on the planet put extremely specific pre-decisional discussions about a military attack on Signal, which could be intercepted by the Russians and the Chinese.
But Director Ratcliffe pushed back.
My answers haven't changed. I used an appropriate channel to communicate sensitive information. It was permissible to do so. I didn't transfer any classified information.
And as Fox's Jared Halpin reports from the White House, we did get more texts exchanged in that chat this morning.
The Atlantic published additional messages sent in a group chat on the Signal app by top administration officials during airstrikes on Houthi targets in Yemen. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared specific timing of when fighter jets and drones would hit intended targets and added operational security is clean.
Now, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz posted on X this morning about those new messages that no locations were given, no sources revealed, and foreign partners had already been notified, writing, bottom line, President Trump's protecting America. Waltz also tells Fox he's the one who inadvertently invited Jeffrey Goldberg, Atlantic senator, to the chat. How it happened, he's not sure yet.
I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
The Supreme Court has just ruled this morning on a Second Amendment issue, upholding a regulation from the Biden presidency on so-called ghost guns, built using kits you can buy online, with some of the court's more conservative justices ruling in favor in a 7-2 decision of the Biden-era rules requiring serial numbers, background checks, and age verification on ghost guns. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
More than one thing to be ready for. Mostly sunny and 47 degrees in downtown Indy. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Severe weather could hit Indiana this weekend, especially Sunday, says Cody Moore with the National Weather Service.
It looks at the moment all modes of severe weather are on the table. And then as we get closer to the event, we'll be able to get into more of the details on timing and which hazards are more of a likelihood than others.
Moore says rain and windy conditions will continue throughout the week. Marijuana is illegal legal in Indiana, but some billboards are advertising it from nearby states, and Ryan Hedrick reports that practice could soon be banned.
Anybody have one of these?
That's Blair Engelhardt, an advertising professional, holding up a cell phone at a meeting in front of the Senate Transportation Committee Tuesday about an amendment to a bill that would ban marijuana ads on billboards in the Hoosier state.
All you have to do is Google nearest dispensary.
Some Hoosier billboard company owners have proposed making sure that those types of billboards are set a certain distance away from schools. The Senate Appropriations Committee will discuss this issue next. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Indianapolis Zoo confirmed that President and CEO Rob Shoemaker was injured while feeding a chimpanzee last week. The zoo staff says Shoemaker's finger was bitten through a mesh barrier, and he received medical treatment. He has since recovered. No harm done to the chimpanzee. Arson is the charge against a man from Indianapolis who police say tried to burn his own house down in April of last year in an attempt to collect more than $400,000 in insurance money. He was tracked down in Ohio and arrested this week. This year's 16th annual Hoosier State Relays will again take place indoors at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. It's set for this Saturday. Organizers of it say this track and field championship event features Indiana's most accomplished high school girls and boys track and field athletes from across every community in Indiana. I'm Sean Herrick on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. It's 11:04. Kendall and Casey coming back in 1 minute.
Spring in Indy, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Don did. He called Rhino Shield.
Well, the home was built in 1948. Paint on the aluminum siding was peeling, and I couldn't find anyone who would repaint it until I called Rhino Shield.
Rhino Shield's better than paint. And the crew?
Painted all my aluminum siding, and I've got a front porch that runs the whole length of the house, and all the pillars and everything. And once they were gone, I couldn't even tell that they were there.
With Rhino Shield's 25-year transferable warranty, you'll never have to paint your home again. And right now, you can have Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
Well, I've told a lot of people, do the Rhino Shield. It's really a great product, and if you don't want to paint the house, that would be the way to go.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino!
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
I can't believe we didn't get to the best part of the polygrapher.
So joining us was a former federal investigator and polygraph examiner, a relative of mine, and we've been talking about a lot of different things, and something that we didn't have time to get to, maybe we'll get to it in a little bit.
She's just hanging out here with you today.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're visiting.
Can you
right?
imagine you two rolling around downtown Indy after this? I mean,
well, that's what we're going to be doing.
Well,
so
that's,
put that in your mind. But something
by the way, I'll have to ask her if she's ever watched you try to order a glass of wine, if she's had the same experience I have where it takes
she's
30
watched me order a margarita.
30 minutes to order a glass of wine. But I can't believe we didn't get to this, which is she has been super involved in the child sex trafficking cases.
Yeah.
And our audience knows I love Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen is one of my favorite. He's a friend of the show. We've had him on the show as one of the most fun interviews I've ever done. And I cannot believe you let her get through 2 whole segments and nobody told me she's into these like to catch a predator type investigations.
Well, I don't think she's into them. I think that's part of the job.
She's a part of them, right?
Yeah.
So she has graciously agreed to come
Finding
back
child sex traffickers
at 11:30 to come back so we can talk about the predator investigations because that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and you love talking about that.
Did I tell you about the one I saw the other day? And this is, I thought I'd seen them all, but there's all these new ones he's done, and I'm trying to get caught up on them. Some guy, they always have an excuse about why they couldn't do it or whatever. And the one guy said, hey, man, I don't, I'm just going to drop this on you. I couldn't have done what you're accusing me of because I shot my penis off. And then that turned into like a 20-minute discussion about if the guy had legitimately done that. And then they couldn't find any proof that he'd done that. But anyway.
I think that's pretty easy to prove.
Well, that's what they...
Drop him!
Because, of course, he narrates it afterwards, and he goes, despite our best attempts, we've been able to validate his claim.
Despite our best attempts. Okay.
Anyway, there's more we have to get to, though, but we'll bring her back at 11:30 because I'm dying to know about how all that works.
Okay, so let's talk about how Indiana ranks high in foreclosure filings, and this, especially in Marion County.
So Wish TV had a big our news gathering partners had a big expose on this, and one of the reasons, and you touched on this at the property tax rally, you were reading the amount of these counties who have had people lose their homes due to an inability to pay their property tax.
Yeah, I think, you know what, I'm grabbing
You still have the paper?
I do. I still have my notes because I was thinking this conversation is going to come up again, and I want to make sure I have these statistics with me. And here they are. In Hamilton County last year, 70 houses went to auction due to property taxes.
Yep.
In Monroe County, the number goes up to 118, and in Hendricks County, it was 106 homes.
And these are, many cases, Hendricks County, this is not Gary, right? We think of these as being more affluent people. Like, I certainly don't think Hendricks County is on the level of, say, Hamilton County or even Boone County, with places like where Nigel lives in the high rises of Zionsville. But you don't think of Hendricks County as being, oh my gosh, there's all these poor, destitute people. You think of them as being middle class, or in some cases upper middle class people. And the property taxes have gotten so out of control. To think about it, if you're on a tight income and your property taxes, which is not unreasonable, say have gone up $1,000 over the past 4 years, if they've doubled in cost, you factor in some increase, a 2% increase or a 1% increase when you're buying a home. Hey, they're going to go up. But not these 40, 50% increases that we've seen. And unless you're, if you got a couple kids, you're not capable of working a second job, what do you do? That's the question.
So in Marion County, foreclosures rose for the third consecutive year. 1,630 homeowners defaulting on
How many?
1,630.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Defaulting on their mortgages in the last year. And I thought an interesting quote in this article was from Amy Nelson, and she is the executive director for Fair Housing Center of Central Indiana. And it says, Nelson said, rising property taxes and homeowners insurance are some of the factors that are leading to higher costs for homeowners.
Yeah, because you think about insurance is based on the cost of replacement. So anytime something goes up, that cost of replacement is going to rise, and thus the insurance is going to rise because you're paying on what it would cost to replace the thing in question. And so I think it just keeps coming back to the same thing, though, which is, other than Braun and the couple of the guys that spoke at our rally, nobody seems wanting to do anything to help people, right? Like, I mean, we had Merritt on, Jim Merritt, who spent 30 years in the Senate. We had him on at 9:30. We said, hey, what'd you think about the plan that we put forward? Merritt's like, it's a great plan. That stuff would solve a lot of the issues, and it's reasonable, and the timeframes are reasonable. We know those lawmakers have seen and heard about our 4-point plan.
It's a 4-point plan.
It's not like they don't know about it. Is anybody out there going, hey, I'd like to learn more about this, or let me study this a little further? Can you give me some more information? No, there's nothing. They don't care. They simply do not. They are fine with what Wish TV is talking about. They're fine with the statistics that you're reading. They're fine that you're going to have to make hard choices. They're not making any hard choices. Because keep in mind, you don't get an income tax cut unless they grow a certain percentage. They've exempted themselves from the process. But you're going to have to make those hard choices on, what do I do? What should I do? Here's the other thing. I was thinking about this yesterday. I was thinking about doing some things around the house to improve my home. And then it dawned on me, I said, why would I do this? Because all it could potentially do is raise the value of my home, which will raise my property taxes.
So it's incentive to not improve your property.
I'm not leaving for a while. It's not affecting the structure of my home, the things I'm thinking about doing. And all I would get out of it is potentially a higher property tax bill. So no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to adjust it. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to do anything that will for the foreseeable future, improve my property value or improve the look of my property, because I don't want my property taxes going up.
But you're led to believe by the Republican Party in Indiana that they are working for you, and they are upholding fiscal responsibility and streamlining government.
By the way, we talked about this with Merritt. Maybe it was on State House Happenings. They all run together on Wednesdays. Where is 1402? Well, I looked on it today. Nothing.
Did you go to the committee schedule?
We are what, like they got like a week to get these things, a week and a half or whatever it is to get the thing out of the various houses again. There's nothing that I've seen. Thompson, that hearing was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
What have they been doing?
I keep looking, too, at the schedule to see, are they going to hear something about it today? And last time I looked, there was nothing.
So it comes back to what we've talked about for months now, which is if you accept that what the House said, Senate Bill 1 is basically dead on arrival, so it's done, right? And this convoluted bullcrap that Thompson threw out there, Jeff Thompson, head of Ways and Means, that even people on his own committee had no idea what he was talking about. They're like,
can you repeat
English, please, sir? So we're led to believe that now in a week and a half or 2 weeks, they're going to solve this issue and put forward a plan. Where's the vetting of the plan? If we're not even to amendments yet. I mean, so the point is they're not helping you. They're not interested in helping you. You should have known that when not one of them came down there to say, let me hear more about your story at our rally. And so it's going to have to be Braun who's going to say, we're done here. I'm vetoing whatever convoluted bull crap you people come up with, and I'll see you in a special session.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk about how the Democrat House leader, Hakeem Jeffries, he officially called for Pete Hegseth to be fired. And this over the leak on Signal.
Right. Did we ever figure out how Signal works?
Okay, so it's an encrypted app, right? It's a secure messaging platform. It launched in 2014, and it ensures that messages and calls are encrypted, meaning they can't be accessed by third parties.
Okay.
Does that explain it to you?
Sounds like unless you're a high-ranking government person well, we talked about it, and we'll ask the polygrapher about this in a little bit. A lot of times these guys, Hansen catches, they'll be on Signal. So it seems like it's ripe for people doing nefarious things to try to operate and communicate.
So the app has about 70 million users, and
that's worldwide.
Worldwide,
okay.
It's a global app, and again, they're saying that nothing classified was shared. I think the one thing that you can take away from everything that's going on with this story is that everybody who was in that conversation seemed to be in lockstep about what they're saying publicly and what they're saying on the app.
Yeah.
It's not like there wasn't a big gotcha moment where, well, you didn't say that in front of the cameras. They were repeating the same things to each other that they say in front of the camera.
Well, and that's good, right?
Yeah.
And there was some dissension, it seemed like, allegedly from J.D. Vance, but everybody else
about the plan,
right.
But that's not anything that he hasn't said in public.
Right. And I always love how the dissension thing is some gotcha. No, it's good. Lincoln, what did Lincoln have? The team of rivals, right? You need people around you who will one of the major problems these elected officials make is it's the butt kisser society, where they just have these people who tell them they're great, tell them they're right, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, whatever you want. These people need people around them who will go, no, I don't agree with that. I think we should do blah, blah, blah. And it helps you make a better decision when you've had people. This is why our show's so good. I come up with something, you're like, Rob, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, thank you, Casey. You've saved me from myself, right?
Well, we mentioned yesterday that the one person who might be the fall guy in all of this is the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz. And he said, I made a mistake.
We made a mistake. We're moving forward, and we're going to continue to knock it out of the park for this president. Look at what he's gotten done in under 2 months. And I didn't even get going on the economy, on trade, or all of those other pieces.
And April 2nd's coming.
Isn't that interesting, though, that he's doing the thing that we always say, what's the three-step process?
It's admit the mistake.
Admit the mistake, which he just did.
Apologize.
See, I didn't hear an apology.
Well, so then he's not doing the 3 steps. He's doing 2/3 of the 3 steps.
But take corrective action.
Is he taking corrective action?
I don't know. Will they continue to use that app, or do you think that's gone now?
Well, so Katz got into this here. By the way, so he's really only done 1/3 of the 3-step plan.
He put a big toe in that.
Which would make him a Hall of Famer if he's playing baseball, because if you get a hit 1/3 of the time, you're in the Hall of Fame. But otherwise, I don't know. Katz had a take on this yesterday, which I thought was interesting. And he was pointing out how they got out of one of those hearings yesterday that it was the Biden administration that approved the signal being instituted or installed on
the phones.
All these government devices. Because initially the thing was, they're like, I can't believe they'd be using this third-party provider. How unsafe of them. What a and then they're like, Well, Biden said it was fine. So everybody shut up about that real quick, didn't they, once they found out that it was Biden who put it there?
Right.
Yeah.
It's the last guy.
Uh-huh.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It is 93 WIBC.
Life moves fast.
Another new directive from Donald Trump.
President Trump will not be deterred to make our federal government more efficient.
So does the news.
We expect those meetings to take place very soon.
Decisions made today.
I'm not a big fan of the Atlantic.
No threats to national security.
Could impact you tomorrow.
Accountability and transparency.
What's next?
You never know what's going to happen.
Need to know what happened.
We're already tracking it. Stay in the know while you're on the go on 93 WIBC.
Hey, guys, it's Rob for Universal Windows Direct, and right now it's their tax time sale. 3 great things about this. Not 1, not 2, but 3. First of all, buy 2 windows. You get 2 free. No limit. Need 4, you only pay for 2. Need 20, you only pay for 10. You know how that works. Number 2, and here's something that's going to make your wallet even happier. Pay no interest until 2030. That's right. No interest for the next 6 years. And number 3, Universal Windows Direct right now is giving you an extra $500 off your home improvement project. So buy 2, get 2 free, no interest until 2030, and $500 off your home improvement project. It's right now with Universal Windows Direct's tax time sale. Now, some restrictions may apply. So to get all the details and, most importantly, schedule your free and home estimate, call today, 317-659-7574. 317-659-7574. Check it all out on the web, universalwindowsdirect.com, universalwindowsdirect.com, 317-659-7574. Tell them Rob sent you.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Spring's here and it's time for a new patio. Indy Decorative Concrete is offering free demolition. Offer ends April 30th. Visit IndyDecorativeConcrete.com for details.
Blood, sweat, tears. At Bill Estes, we know it takes hard work and years of doing the right thing to build a business people can depend on. That's why we don't make empty promises and expect your trust. Estes earns it. From Ford F-150s and Toyota Tacomas to Ram 1500s and Chevy Silverados, we have the trucks you'll love at prices you can believe in. But don't just take our word for it. Your trust means something. Estes earns it. BillEstes.com.
Casey, I have a very important question for you.
Sure, what's that?
Why are you so unhappy?
What are you talking about?
Well, isn't that what we're talking about?
I'm not unhappy. I think if you asked most people who listen to this program, they would say that I'm pleasant and you're the one who seems unhappy.
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
Yeah, that's more true.
But here's the thing.
Yes.
I'm very, very pleased with my existence that doesn't relate to the government and, you know, the collective stain and strain they're putting on me to live my life. I love my life itself. And you will back me up on this. People all the time are like, he's so nice in person.
Yeah.
I'm just a complete a-hole on the radio.
It's really weird.
Because we're talking about the government. And that's what they deserve.
So different states are stressed. And Indiana, of course, one of them that made the list of the most stressed states.
We were right in the middle, weren't we?
We were right in the middle. I think, what did we rank at number 25?
25.
Yeah, they say stress such as inflation, work deadlines, relationship tensions, national concerns. These are all of the things that are stressing you out.
So what about Indiana would just be our rather bleak. I bet weather's a big part of this. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I bet weather.
You think?
I would bet, like, okay, what are the least stressed states? Is there a list?
Yeah, there is a list.
Okay.
Let me pull it up here.
You always got to go in like reverse, right?
The least stressed is New Mexico.
Okay, think about it.
No, wait, I'm sorry. I got that backwards. They're the most stressed.
Oh, they're the most stressed.
Yes. So I have to go to the bottom
This is the
and
problem.
go to the top.
Yeah, number 50 would be the least stressed.
The least stressed is, you'll never guess it.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it?
You want to take a guess?
You said I'd never guess it.
Yeah, just pick one.
Idaho.
No, it's Nebraska.
Nebraska?
Yeah.
See, I'm calling bullcrap on this whole thing then. What does Nebraska have to offer anyone?
Minnesota, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Iowa, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, North Dakota, Connecticut, Hawaii, and Utah.
Is this Wallet Hub?
The least stressed. It is Wallet Hub.
No. See, I think
I
Wallet
think
Hub.
like Florida would be at the top. Or
I've begun to think Wallet Hub just hires some guy for $15 an hour, and he just starts writing things down, and they go, well, there's a study. There's a thing. I mean, there's no, what were the states that you tried to say were like if you had said Florida, okay, it's a bunch of happy retired people. Or if you'd have said, I don't know, like I said, Idaho or Montana, what's going on out there? It's big skies and fun times.
Nope, the least stressed state is Nebraska.
I don't believe you.
And part of this is the average hours that you work per week. That has an effect on how stressed you are.
But Casey, half the state of Florida isn't working. They're retired.
This is true. And if they do get too stressed, they leave.
This is my point. I think some guy, they just put Steve or Harold or whoever, your job is to come up with the most stressed states. You got until noon tomorrow, right? No way.
Another thing that is contributing to the scores are the hours that you sleep at night. How you sleeping?
Not good last night.
Really?
Well, I've got a little 21-month-old who is a professional hostage taker. And every time I think we're out of the I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night thing.
She's back to waking up.
Now, my wife last night is like, I think it's because she's hitting her benchmarks. And I was like, what does that have to do with it? Well, she's putting more stress on her brain, and it's causing her to wake up more.
She's growing.
Is that a thing?
She's growing. I don't know what the benchmarks are. Like, is she doing anything new and fantastic?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, she's doing all the things every day. She's getting more
You said
letters.
yesterday she was pointing.
Yeah, she's the pointing, the talking. We're getting more words down.
Learning new
more
words.
More letters.
She's absorbing everything.
But what would that have to do with her not sleeping all through the night? Would that wear her out?
What? So she's restless, waking up?
Well, I don't know. You've been a parent longer than I have. Aren't you supposed to have this down?
My child didn't have a problem waking up in the middle of the night.
Really?
Yeah.
Ever?
Well, not at a certain age. Yeah.
Like your kid just slept through the whole night.
I think, yeah. By the time she was 1.
What, did you give her a shot of whiskey before bed, or like what did you?
No.
How did you do that?
No, but she did wake up very early though.
Oh, see, that's the thing.
So it was like the 5 a.m. wake up.
Here's
call.
what I have deciphered is happening, because I thought we were through this after the time change and we kept her up longer, but I think she's back on. She has now adjusted to the time change. So now I got to keep her up longer again to get her more tired when she goes back to bed.
Did you see that President Trump is going to host the Kansas City Chiefs at the White House?
They didn't win the Super Bowl. Why is he doing that?
This is to celebrate their 2020 Super Bowl victory because their visit was canceled due to the pandemic.
That's ridiculous.
So here's my take on this. Now do my daughter's high school graduation.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Are we redoing everything that we missed during the pandemic?
Because she had to do a lot of COVID learning, too, in college.
Well, her freshman year,
right?
Purdue was on lockdown.
Yeah.
So
think about it. They stole her graduation from her.
They did. And from me.
That's right.
You know?
It's always all got to be about you, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, you can't have that proud parent moment.
Well, right. No. All kidding aside.
You can, but like it wasn't the same sitting in the family room and watching it on YouTube.
What did she do?
What do you mean?
Like, what was the graduation? Did she just stand up and wave to everybody on a Zoom call?
No.
It was nothing.
No, it was, no, we were in the family room and she looked at me and Jim and we applauded her and she did the tassel thing.
Oh, okay. So this wasn't like even the school put together, everybody log into this thing and we'll see everybody.
Yeah, I mean, there was a YouTube stream and they like scrolled their names.
Oh, but they didn't like go to your house.
No.
Oh, okay. No. Okay. Very good.
So, I mean, obviously Donald Trump, he's feeling like the Kansas City Chiefs need to be recognized for their win.
That's ridiculous. That was 5 years ago. Yeah.
Exactly.
When I graduated, there was a ruckus applause from the teachers that were there at graduation because they said we are finally done with him.
They were happy that you were leaving.
Deal with him anymore. And I've told you. Have I told you this story about how excited they were for me to get out of Brownsburg High School? So I was not good at math. and really not good at math. They had placed me in the wrong math in junior high. So I was like one math ahead of where I should have been.
Mm-hmm.
And so my senior year, I had to get one more math credit to graduate, and they were going to make me take trigonometry. And I told the counselors, like, I don't have the interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot pass this class. I will not pass this class. So you guys got two choices. Figure something out, or you're going to be stuck with me for another year, and I know you don't want that. And they're like, and this is like, they were like, okay, we'll figure something out. And then they came back and they were like, well, there's this new experimental math that is like an extension of Algebra 2.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was before they did the co-credit things with colleges. This is obviously a huge thing now where you can get the joint, the dual credit.
You
and
can graduate high school with college credit.
Right. And they're like, well, we basically think if nobody raises any stink about this, that we can count this, and we think you can get through this because you just got through Algebra 2. And they did, and they let me take it, and nobody said anything. And I was the first person to ever get the credit, not as a college credit, but the credit to graduate to get out of high school. So a bunch of kids got the benefit of that for me being such a pain in the ass to the staff at Brownsburg High School.
Well, either that or you can consider yourself a trailblazer.
I'm a pioneer.
Right, exactly.
Which is why I should be in the Hall of Fame.
You should get the Sagamore of the Wabash
That's
Award
right.
for
See,
that
we're
alone.
lining it up. Hey, can we talk to the polygrapher again when we come back? I'm fascinated to know. She did a bunch of these Chris Hansen Predator type investigations
to catch a predator.
On the law
and
enforcement
that's
side.
what you do on your downtime.
That's
you
right.
watch
when I
those
go home,
shows
that's what I do.
for entertainment.
For 4 hours until it's time to pick the kid up from daycare.
All right, we'll do that next. It's 93 WIBC.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something? Boat wins! Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing? Boat wins! Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing? Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat. Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Life Church. You know, we love Life Church. This Sunday we'll be at the Noblesville location, and one of the things we love about Life Church is the sense of community there. We've talked about all the WIBC listeners we've met over the years at Life Church. Check it out for yourself. It's Easter season. If you're feeling called to a new church home or even a first church home, check it out. You got nothing to lose, everything to gain. 4 campuses across central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. Great online services. Learn more about everything on the web, lifechurchin.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Imagine the immediate threat of a tornado. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:30. For many Hoosiers, this has become a reality this severe weather season. Ryan Hedrick reports on what a National Weather Service forecaster is saying.
What you're hearing right now is a tornado siren, and you probably already know that siren is supposed to alert you about the imminent threat of a twister. Cody Moore says if that siren goes off,
take shelter immediately.
But he says every county uses a different approach for their sirens.
Some counties sound them for severe thunderstorm warnings, while others just for tornadoes. Know what your county rules are for setting off those sirens as well.
And Moore says those sirens could play Sunday because severe weather is possible. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And the statewide average for gas today, $3.16 a gallon, says Gas Buddy. That's down a couple cents from Monday. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
My brother never checks on dad. Or my sister won't make time to take mom to the doctor. Are these things you've heard yourself say? This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. I have a caregiving tip for you. Stay tuned.
Cardon and Associates offers the finest senior living options tailored to your loved one's needs. Reservations are now being accepted for new apartments at Copper Trace in Westfield. Visit cardon.com.
Expressing anger or resentment toward unsupportive siblings can cause unmendable rifts in relationships. Don't try to control everyone else. You can only control yourself. The success of your caregiving journey does not rest on others. So enjoy the time with your loved one. This is your special time with them. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Oh, the polygrapher's back.
So we have joining us in the studio a former federal investigator and a polygraph examiner, worked on many different things, many different cases, and this one has piqued your interest.
Yes, by the way, we are the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob, that's Casey. So in addition to the different things that you have done and the people you have studied, you had told me off air, you said one of the things I was very involved in was catching these child sex predators, like the Chris Hansen investigations. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, and so I've been fascinated for years and years and years by this, because the first of all, the mind of the predator, and then the idea that they take the step, because it's a step further than just child pornography. Mm-hmm. It's going to meet someone, and then the people that you meet, and obviously the TV show was a resounding success, and then Chris Hansen made a whole career out of it. But one of the things I've long thought with these, first of all, did you feel dirty being involved in that? Because there are some really sick, nasty people that you meet in those sort of investigations.
Absolutely. And I would come home at night just wanting to shower, feeling filthy. Of course. And you don't get used to it. I mean, you're around it a lot. You get, it's never super comfortable.
How do you disengage from it? Like, how do you turn it off?
It's tough. You have to, I would work out a lot, those sorts of things. But it's hard. You really don't get rid of a lot of that. And a lot of us take it with us for years.
Well, because with the TV show, because some of these guys were just such idiots that, they become infamous, and then you're like, you chuckle at it, but then you realize, well, yeah, it's funny because they got caught, and it's funny because they are morons and they get exposed and they are so stupid. But then you realize their lust to sexually abuse a child was so strong, and you can't get past the fact that had that Dateline NBC not been there and a real kid been there, somebody would have got harmed.
Oh, for sure. And we would see a progression, and you're exactly right. It's like trying to, you have an itch that you just can't scratch. So a lot of times they would start with the child porn, and then sometimes people, that's all they'll stay with, and they don't do that progression. But where we came into play, they would go and do that progression. And so now solicitation, that sort of thing. And so where polygraph got involved was once they got them for either child porn or solicitation, we would poly them to see if there had actually been sexual contact.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to know.
Because Hansen will ask them, have you ever done this before? And they'll say, well, no, of course not. And they'll be like, so the first time you ever did this, you got caught, right? You and I were talking during the break. Having watched hundreds of these cases, I have a theory a lot of these guys want to get caught. You actually caught these guys. What did you find?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think a lot of these individuals, they know what they're doing is absolutely terrible. It weighs on them every single day. And a lot of them just need the venue to, that platform to be able to, and someone that will listen to them and not judge them.
Do you think, because there's all these vigilante guys now online who grew up watching Hansen and now they do it themselves? We've had a couple of these guys on before, and law enforcement's all like, well, you really shouldn't do that. And their argument is, well, these people are out there. You're not catching them. We're at least exposing them, because the law enforcement will say, well, because you didn't do it this way or that way, now we can't arrest them. The rights were violated, blah, blah, blah. Does law enforcement get what a serious issue this is, and how should it be tackled then if the vigilante guys aren't the right way to do it?
Of course, and we absolutely know the seriousness of it, but we also know the behind the scenes and how difficult it can be to prosecute these cases. You may think you have all the evidence laid out, and this is a slam dunk. And so these vigilantes, they don't understand all the aspects and sort of the elements of proof, we call it, that you would need for prosecution. So sure, you can catch them, but they're not going to do anything with it because they've not been read their rights. They've not followed the particular protocol.
Did you ever, I always thought, because with Hansen, he would do the interview. Well, he's an entertainer, right? So he's processing it differently than everybody else. But then they would show the law enforcement interviewing these guys, and I would sit there and watch that and go, you got to interview 20 of these guys over a couple days. How do you keep it together? Because you've dealt with a lot of bad crimes, but potential crimes against kids are just the worst. Was it ever hard for you to hold it together talking to these complete scumbags?
Absolutely. And we have to kind of go into this other mindset. That was probably the most difficult types of cases that I've worked on. A lot of times it's easy to disengage with some crimes, and we're sitting knee to knee with these individuals, and those were the toughest because you want to just kind of jump across, and grab them.
Yeah, and Casey and I have talked about this before. Like, favorite is a strong word, but one of the catches that Hansen did that I enjoyed the most was this guy, and he was a complete idiot. So his interrogation was just beyond belief. But he was caught. He drives past the house. The cops are out in the driveway arresting a guy that was there before him because it's like a turnstile. He sees the guy get arrested. He drives past, calls the decoy. She goes, yeah, my neighbor's a drug dealer. They busted him for drugs. He drives back and goes back in. That's a person who, without serious intervention, is simply, you cannot cure them of this thing, right? That person has to be extracted from society. It shows how strong the lure is to do that.
You're exactly right. And it's interesting. I'll say I worked on an operation, To Catch a Predator, in another country. In another country. And I will tell you that it was all over that we were doing this operation. So it kind of spread.
People knew
that we were doing this operation. And individuals, even in sort of the beginning chat to kind of, the undercovers luring them, they would even ask, oh, are you this particular agency that's doing this?
They would ask you.
Oh, they would ask.
So you're going to tell them.
They would ask. And I mean, and they would still show up.
Wow.
And it's just, it is mind blowing. And it does show you that it's an illness. I mean, it's an illness and it's an itch they cannot scratch.
Have you ever used decoys in your investigation? You don't.
Okay. Do you see my smile?
Yeah. Okay.
I have to be very careful.
No, I understand.
That's a great question. It was fascinating with the people because now they've got it where the stuff Hansen's doing now is it's law enforcement is posing as the decoy. They've got some young intern or something. It used to be NBC had these girls who were in their oftentimes like 19 or 18 years old, so they were technically legal, but they looked young, and it was like this whole thing is kind of smarmy, right? Like the idea that you've got to get somebody that looks young to get these people to come. And I always felt so bad for those poor girls because they had to deal with all these guys when they come to the door and stuff. And it was just like, oh my gosh, whatever you're paying them or the chance to be on TV, not enough.
And that's common. It's very common.
Do you know before an interrogation begins? Like, do you have I'll tell the story. You and I were on a trip and we were in an Uber car and you kind of whispered to me, I'm getting a bad vibe. We need to get out of this car. And after we exited the vehicle.
This is the driver? You didn't like the driver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said, I've been doing this for so long. I get the vibe, the chill, something internally tells me there's something not on the up and up here.
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot before an interrogation begins? Like, do you know?
It's something that you have to be with that person, and it's a feeling that you get, a sense. So I don't a lot of times get that feel because I've not had that one-on-one with him. When you are in a room and it's you and that person in a room, knee to knee, you get a feel. And you just start, the more you're around it, the more feel you get. And that day that we were in the car, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I got that feel of these individuals, and from certain things they would say or certain mannerisms, you can tell. And it's in the normal person, it would be very difficult. But for us,
you want to introduce our guest again?
Yeah, joining us is a relative of mine. She's a former federal investigator and also a polygraph examiner.
And you two need to have a podcast together. I'm just putting that out now. People would eat that up. That would be fabulous if you two had a podcast together. You and I were joking during the break. You said, this is such a fun gig you guys have. And I said, well, it's such a fun gig you have. And it's like, remember the athletes want to be actors and actors want to be athletes. Like, you still like doing this? Do you still enjoy it?
Yeah, or I wouldn't do it anymore.
Because you came to it, so people missed you last hour. You did not grow up wanting to be in federal law enforcement. You, later in life, even came into this thing. So it's not like something you had aspired to do your whole life.
No.
And I'm so glad you're willing to do it, but you're just around heinous, horrible people all the time.
Yeah, and we said this before. We start seeing the world as inherently bad, not inherently good. You lose the rose-colored glasses, And it wasn't something I aspired to do. In fact, one of my college roommates went into law enforcement, And I'm of the generation, that's so weird.
Yeah.
You know, I can't, why would you want to do that? You're a female, you're a girl.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
What's your husband? Because your husband, I don't want to reveal what he does, but your husband is a very respected individual in this country. And what did you go to him and go like, I'd like to do this? Or like, how did that conversation go?
Yeah, you know, he's just been so supportive. And, you know, when I have an idea or I said, you know, I'm really enjoying this class, you know, I go to him and he said, let's do it.
Yeah.
What can I do to help you get where you want to go? You know, he's super supportive.
Casey, your family is so respected. What happened to you?
Look at me. I'm sitting here with you, right?
You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
She's amazing.
So we got just a couple minutes left here. I'm curious when people are, because obviously you sense deflection, deception for a job. What are some things people should look for high level? Hey, is this person telling me the truth?
Oh, I mean, it depends on what you're looking for.
Right.
I mean, you know, we talked about earlier if you ask them a question,
Yeah.
but kind of pay attention in the beginning of a conversation. You know, ask them things that you know to be true.
Okay, let me ask it this way. My wife will ask me if I want to do something with her, and I'm giving the answer that is most expedient for my existence, not the actual answer. How can I better give that answer? And she'll always be like, I don't believe you at all. I can see you're lying right to my face. You don't want to go to this. And I said, what answer am I supposed to give? Either way, I'm wrong. How can I better maybe give an answer that'll convince her I want to go to whatever that thing might be?
Give good eye contact.
Oh, eye contact. Maybe
Give
that's where I'm screwing it
good eye
up. Maybe I'm looking at the floor when I'm like, why, yes,
And
I'd
keep
love
an
to go
open
shopping at
posture.
the fashion mall.
Keep an open posture.
Keep an open posture.
What does that mean? Open?
Don't cross your arms.
Don't cross my
your
arms.
legs.
Eye contact. So let me try it. I'm going to look at Casey. Casey, say, Rob, would you like to go to the fashion mall with me?
Rob, would you like to go to the fashion mall with me?
Casey, I'd love to go to the fashion mall with you. Is that good?
Was that great?
That was fantastic.
I know that you don't want to go to the fashion mall with me.
Let's see. Let's see what else. Rob, would you like to go to the zoo with me this weekend? Try that one.
No, Rob, would you like to take your daughter to the Indy Zoo?
I'd love to not sit around and watch sports all weekend.
Yeah,
I love it.
So I think the big takeaway, though, is that you have always said, just, you know what, follow your instincts. If you feel something is off, chances are it's off.
Yeah, listen to your gut. And, you know, we all have children. Mine are grown now. But I would always tell them, keep your head on a swivel, always, you know, and always go with your gut. If it feels wrong, it's probably wrong. Yeah. There's something a little off.
You're awesome. Thanks for sharing all this with us.
Oh,
that was
thanks
great.
for having me.
Big anniversary today in Indiana, Rob. Do you remember what happened 10 years ago?
10 years ago today, something monumental happened in our state.
We'll discuss it next. It's 93 WIBC.
I am human and I need to be loved, just like everybody else does.
Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Tony Kennett, he'll join us. More Hammer and Nigel Records madness. We got Brooks and Dunn tickets. There's a lot going on. Join us.
Indiana patients rely on many types of pharmacies to access their medications and critical healthcare services. But a proposal being considered in the Indiana legislature called SB 140 would disrupt access to medications for Indiana patients. SB 140 would impose government mandates blocking access to critical pharmacy options and services in Indiana. Lost access to pharmacy options would directly harm many of Indiana's most vulnerable patients, including patients fighting cancer and heart disease, many of whom rely on specialty pharmacies for their care. SB 140 would even hike costs for Indiana patients by imposing a $10 tax on every prescription filled in the state. That would often fall directly on the patient. Tell your state legislator, protect access to medications, reject higher costs. Put Indiana patients first by voting no on SB 140, paid for by conservatives for lower healthcare costs.
Mark Dietl is the only local Indianapolis real estate expert I trust with the sale of my home, and I would trust Mark and his team to find me a new home as well. Look what happened with Crystal in Franklin. She was moving to Kentucky and needed to move fast. When she got the Mark Deedle marketing plan, she was blown away. The plan worked. Crystal got full list price in the first weekend. Just like that, Mark and his team got it done.
Mark Deedle guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. That is what separates Mark Deedle from the competition. You pick the move date, no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Call Mark Deedle today. At least start a conversation. 317-755-4232 or go to markdeedle.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdeedle.com.
I'll say this. There are no entries in the Hoops Fan Hall of Fame who didn't show up to the game. Yes, you in the back.
Professor, March Madness is coming to Indianapolis. Are we ready?
You prepared to bring the fire? Give it 110 from tip to the final buzzer? Oh, you're ready. The NCAA Sweet 16 and Elite 8, March 28th and 30th in Indianapolis. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/MBB tickets. Class dismissed.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Denny Smith for Sundown Gardens. Nursery stock is arriving daily. 20% off all container trees and shrubs in stock. 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield.
Check out what's going on with 93 WIBC.
Listen to Hammer and Nigel this week for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Brooks and Dunn with special guest David Lee Murphy Thursday, April 3rd at Gamebridge Fieldhouse.
Now the sun's coming up. I'm riding.
Casey, I saw a tweet, and it reminds me of how old I am and how generally awful our politicians are.
Yeah?
It just captured it all in one tweet.
What was it?
So it came from our friend Nikki Kelly from the Indiana Capital Chronicle, and she put out that it was 10 years ago today that RFRA was signed.
Oh.
Now, for those of you who have not been long-time politically engaged people in the state of Indiana, the RFRA was acronym, is that RFRA? That's an acronym, right? Was an acronym for the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
Yeah.
And this was at a time in the Obama era where they were coming at people over potentially being able to speak and act. This was the bake the cake and all this other stuff was going on. And so out of that came Indiana drafted after hours and hours and hours of debate and testimony and blah, 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 blah. The Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which protected people's ability to do and say certain things based on religious grounds.
Now, I want to make sure I have my timing correct. Was Mike Pence governor at this time?
Mike Pence was governor. This was you got to remember, this was pre-Trump showing up.
Right.
So there was a lot of jockeying on who's going to potentially be the face of the Republican Party. It would be several months before Trump would come down that escalator.
Yeah.
This was still a wide open thing, and guys like Mike Pence were still being mentioned. Now, the bloom was off the Pence rose because you had the Justin media stuff, and there was a whole bunch of things. People had kind of figured out what an empty suit Pence was, but this was one of his shining. He viewed it as. Everybody remembers the photo with all the religious leaders in the background. And what's interesting to me about all of that, because I was still in state government at this point. I certainly was there. I left in the spring of 2015. I left as pharmacy board director. Been in the auditor's office before that. But I was here for all of the debate. I very clearly remember. And when it actually got signed, I may have been gone by then. But I remember all of this happening in real time. And I remember then thinking, because as soon as they signed the thing, then there's this outrage. And Pence makes the egregious mistake because Mike Pence was never as smart as he believed he was. That was one of the things about when you have a bunch of yes men who have their lips permanently pressed to your butt cheeks is you don't get challenged the way you need to be challenged. And then Mike Pence goes on with George Stephanopoulos. The interview's a complete disaster. Stephanopoulos just destroys him on national television. And then, oh my gosh, we got to do this fix to this thing. And I remember watching this at the time play out. And I remember thinking, you went through all this debate. You went through all this testimony.
Yeah.
You heard all of these things. And within a week, then you're like, oh my gosh,
we got to fix this.
We got to fix this thing that we just voted for.
Yeah.
Then why did you vote for the thing? And it was a great example because then what the response to RFRA was the blueprint that became the red for Ed and all the other stuff, which these people figured out. If we're just loud enough, long enough, unless, of course, you want property tax reform. Now, if you want that, well,
Who
that
cares? You'll be ignored.
But, one of the problems with the property tax thing is we're not insane every day, right? Like, we're not there being nuts every day. And so these people figured out, because there's nothing wrong with RFRA. There was nothing wrong with the thing, which is why the people voted on it. It was somewhat controversial in the time it was being debated and discussed, but largely until the vote, it wasn't that big of a deal because it's not. It wasn't. And that fix, to this day, if you stopped people because months and months of testimony, months and months of debate and discussion, and then we're going to fix it within 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, we made this huge mistake.
Right.
We got to fix it within 2 weeks. Like that was it was a part of many, over those 2 years were many, many eye-opening experiences for me that totally changed the way I view government and viewed the Republican Party and became the worldview that I have on this #1 award-winning radio show today. But it was a horrible, horrible time for our state because it set a horrible, horrible precedent. And it showed you how uncommitted to anything most of these people are, how they twist in the wind at whatever the thing of the moment is. And good public policy means nothing. It's just getting people off their back.
So was Mike Pence easily swayed then? Because if they took all this time to pass RFRA and then within a couple of days a fix was needed, it seems to me that he did not have a lot of conviction towards it to begin with.
Mike Pence was always willing to take the path of least political resistance if it moved him forward. Now, Mike Pence would do something if there was a political win for him. He would occasionally get tough on things, but it had to be viewed in a lens of, it was always viewed in a lens of, how does this help me politically?
Did he think it needed to be fixed before the interview with George?
No, that's why he did the interview.
Yeah.
Was because
he was going to go brag about it.
He believed he was Mike Pence because he was. See, the problem with Pence, and I know this because I was in. Look, was never in the inner circle. I'm not trying to express that, but I was in a lot of these meetings with these people. I had been in meetings with Pence. He was never challenged. Because the people around him, I call him the gravy train brigade. They were people who were with him for years, and he was always the meal ticket, and the jobs depended on him, and they had, a lot of people with Pence, and it was a very, very weird thing. It was very, very eye-opening for me because when I first met Pence was when he was running for governor. I was a county coordinator. I was in the very peripheral of, I wasn't included in a lot of stuff. But it was always, but then when you get to the State House, when you get in the government, you realize this almost godlike complex or godlike persona that people had of him. And then you realize, well, it's because he was the gravy train. And anything that would hurt Pence, the number one thing when Pence was governor was not to help you as a taxpayer. It was do not hurt Mike Pence. Do not. I remember taking things related to the pharmacy board and pharmacy issues.
Well, everybody had invested interest on him succeeding because they had their star hitched to his wagon.
Remember you don't remember. You're not that seasoned. But it came out later that in Soviet Russia under Stalin, people would write from the gulags because Stalin was always perceived as the good guy, presented as the good guy, and they would literally write letters to Stalin, going, "Man, if Stalin just knew how unfair my incarceration was, he will do something."
Right.
Well, of course, Stalin was the one sending them.
Right.
And that was the way it was for me in state government when I got there and when I went over to the pharmacy board, because they asked me, the Pence people asked me to go over there.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to get this to Pence, and I got to get that.
If he only knew, he would do something.
And so you would tell the people that were like in the immediate circle around him, and then you realize they're not.
They know.
Yeah, they're making sure he don't know because they don't want the fix, right? And it took me. I remember the very moment and the very issue. We don't have time to go into it now. Maybe someday we will. The very moment, the very issue where it was like in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Where the whole plot comes together.
You had an aha moment.
Yeah, and so. But the point was,
He was never challenged. He was never prepared for things like that, and he embarrassed himself in our state on national television.
Well, happy anniversary.
So that
How
was
are you going to celebrate?
It was a fun, and you were paying the price for Mike Pence and that legislature and RFRA to this day, not because RFRA was bad, but because of the way they handled the response to it.
All right. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for listening. This has been Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
It's like being trapped in a cage. And I know that sounds dramatic, but your breathing triangle problem has got you trapped. And once you're freed, you're going to be able to live the life that you're missing out on. Now, this can simply mean experiencing the true pleasure of breathing freely. It will mean better sleep and more energy. And the worry of this problem any more affecting your life is going to be gone. Because in almost every case, when Advent has solved a breathing triangle problem, it's a one and done. Because we're not in the business of delivering Band-Aids. We want to fix your nasal breathing problem for good. We don't want you to be a lifelong patient. We want you to be our next success story.
Isn't it time you break free from that cage? Take the next step. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. That's 800-917-8730.
Spring's here and it's time for a new patio. Indy Decorative Concrete is offering free demolition. Offer ends April 30th. Visit IndyDecorativeConcrete.com for details.
You feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Indianapolis.
Coming up.
In our forecast, we have gusts to 20 miles per hour.
Disco